The boy began his journey into cultivation at the age of 6. By 12, he had reached the peak of the chi refining stage. At 17, he broke through the soul transformation and void returning stages. In his 18th year, he was already proclaimed an emperor. At just 20, he became the sect master of the Azure Sky sect on the Xuanzhou continent. But before he could dominate the heavens, he was framed by villains and trapped within the immortal locking tower. When Yansen finally shattered the tower and emerged, he discovered he had arrived on a blue planet. The people here could fly without using flying swords. They could race across the land without any spiritual artifacts. Even the girls here walked the streets without wearing traditional robes. It took 2 months for him to realize this world is called Earth, a place where spiritual chi is recovering, and where monsters and heroes have emerged. But as an era of peace arrived, monsters became common pets, and heroes began to fade into obscurity, working as food delivery drivers, or hosting live streams just to make ends meet. But today, this peaceful life was about to be shattered. This peaceful life was about to be shattered. A man in strange attire appeared in the sky above the city. A man in strange attire appeared in the sky above the city. A man in strange attire appeared in the sky above the city. Within just 2 hours, he had defeated 26 superheroes in a row. All of this was witnessed by a demigod-class hero, Plastic Superman. With a sudden leap, countless armor plates flew toward him at high speed. The moment he touched the ground, the armor assembly was complete. The thrusters on his back ignited instantly, and within a few breaths, he was face to face with Yansen mid-air. At this moment, the whole world was in a frenzy. The 5th-ranked demigod hero had made his move. The boy is definitely finished. But Yansen showed no hostility. He simply wanted to ask how he could return to the Xuanzhou continent. Plastic Superman ignored him. His entire system surged to maximum power. Crimson energy continuously condensed in his palm. They say this punch can penetrate 300 meters of solid ground. No one has ever walked away unscathed from this strike. In an instant, Plastic Superman's energy was fully charged. A sonic boom erupted as he charged forward with incredible speed. But then, a shocking scene unfolded. Yansen just took a step back and countered with a basic attack, slapping Plastic Superman right into the dirt. Even the chat room was instantly cleared by the shock. Yansen was starting to get annoyed. He was just asking for directions. Yet, he kept running into all this trouble. Before Yansen could catch his breath, another hero rushed to the scene. Upon seeing the figure, the commentator started screaming in excitement. It was a god-class hero, Hercules Superman. This battle was bound to be earth-shaking. Superman started acting arrogant right away. Beating Plastic Superman means you have some skill indeed, but after all, we are not on the same level. Superman spoke with extreme arrogance, even wanting to take Yansen as a pet, to boost his own hero ranking. Yansen rejected him on the spot. A pet? Wouldn't that be like being a dual cultivation furnace? He certainly did not have those kinds of backdoor preferences. Superman's expression instantly turned grim. He wanted Yansen to understand just how severe the consequences of rejecting him would be. A surging aura of killing intent instantly filled the air, so strong it nearly knocked the news helicopters out of the sky. In the next heartbeat, Superman's speed increased exponentially. In the span of a few breaths, a massive fist had already arrived right before him. But Yansen simply hammered a single punch into the superhero's gut, knocking the snot and tears right out of him. He went flying through a skyscraper, trailing sparks and lightning all the way. Strongman was utterly defeated. However, Yansen also understood that if he kept this up, the trouble would only keep snowballing. In the next second, he turned into a shooting star and vanished into the horizon. This man's name is Yansen. He was originally a cultivator from the Xuanzhou continent. Exiled by his enemies into a space-time rift, he ended up on Earth. Yansen looked at the superheroes before him, genuinely unable to wrap his head around it. He was just asking for directions. How did he attract so much drama? This armored hero was also a classic case of all bark and no bite. The moment he opened his mouth, he offered to let Yansen have 3 free hits. In the next second, a horizontal kick landed squarely on his stomach. The superhero immediately put on a mask of pure agony. By the time he stood up again, his eyes were burning with the will to fight. The stronger the opponent, the more worth they are defeating. The armored hero then pulled out a transformation device from a very peculiar place. You know, like those ones you always see on TV. The moment the device clicked into place, a bolt of celestial thunder struck down from the clear sky. The strongest armor in history had completed its fusion. 11 years ago, the armored hero relied on this very suit to defeat over 100 super monsters, becoming the strongest hero on the planet in one fell swoop. Sensing a power far superior to the 2 previous weaklings, Yansen finally started to take things a bit seriously. A longsword, shimmering with deep blue light, materialized in his hand. The blade. Its name is Heaven Sacrifice. I am Yansen, possessing a half-immortal physique. Please enlighten me. The words had barely left his lips when the two of them charged at each other at supersonic speeds. From the ground to the sky, their shadows were everywhere. The superhero was ecstatic. He had finally met an opponent worthy of his mettle. But in the next second, Yansen appeared right behind him, his right hand resting on the hero's head. Following a thunderous boom, half of the superhero's body was buried into the dirt. The commentator nearby was so shocked, his jaw nearly hit the floor. Too powerful. This is definitely the most spectacular battle in 10 years. Bar none. The superhero stood up once again. This long-awaited battle had reignited his fighting spirit. Energy began to condense rapidly at his cannon's muzzle. Plasma cannon. Roaring blasts echoed continuously, but when the smoke cleared, Yansen was completely unscathed. Not even a single hair was out of place. At this moment, the armored hero felt it, an abyssal gap in their power levels. But he did not back down, because he firmly believed that as long as he was on the ground, no one could defeat him. Pale energy began to gather around his waist. This was an S-tier move that even the armored hero could not fully control. There was a looming risk of it going haywire, but the armored hero knew the man before him was worth the gamble. A golden sphere of light suddenly took shape. Rising plasma fire, a massive pillar of light shot straight toward Yansen. The sheer force of its passage even tore through the air. Then, a shocking scene unfolded. Yansen simply used his hand as a blade, and the sword sheath from his fingertips pierced right through the entire pillar of fire. The residual energy even dragged the mecha superhero along, blasting him all the way from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere. The mecha superhero was utterly defeated, but things were far from over, because an even stronger magical girl was already on her way. On the subway, a girl was being harassed by a middle-aged creep, but the man nearby remained completely indifferent. His 2,000 years of experience had taught him one thing: don't poke your nose into other people's business. However, the creep was hell-bent on clashing swords with the man, and with a nasty sound, he spat a thick glob of phlegm right onto the man's designer boots. At that moment, the very air seemed to freeze. A grand battle was now inevitable. Yansen stood up and walked right over to the creep. Without a shred of hesitation, and without a single care in the world, Yansen spat a glob of his own right back at him. Then, under the shocked gazes of everyone present, he got off the subway early. By the time the creep snapped out of it, he could only shed tears of pure grievance. I am clearly just a girl. Why would you treat me like this? I have got your back. It turns out that after Lu Feng took down dozens of superheroes, his reputation skyrocketed, and he received an interview invitation from the Superhero Academy. Everything that just happened was actually a test by the examiner, but Yansen's performance was honestly a total flop. The lead examiner was absolutely fuming, insisting on showing Yansen why the flowers are so red. At this moment, even from hundreds of miles away, Yansen inexplicably sensed a massive wave of murderous intent, but by now, it was already too late to leave. With a thunderous boom, a figure suddenly descended from the sky. The newcomer was none other than the 7th-ranked God-tier hero Lan Chichi. The moment she made a finger heart gesture with her hands, blue hexagrams began spinning rapidly in the void. A moment later, the magical girl's transformation was complete. Yansen was truly speechless. Why does everyone in this world love to resort to violence immediately? Can't we just sit down and talk some sense for once? With a sharp whistle, the girl charged forward with extreme speed, because in this superhero world, might is the only right. As the wind from her punch drew near, the girl's palm unleashed a dynamic energy blast. Yansen flicked his left hand, and the blast instantly changed trajectory, slamming straight into the ground. The deafening roar felt like it would tear one's eardrums apart. With just this one strike, Yansen realized that the magical girl before him was fundamentally different from those 3 small fries. He would have to show a tiny bit of his actual strength. The girl suddenly gathered her energy, unleashing 100% of her mana. Dozens of energy orbs were hurled out in an instant. Continuous explosions resounded, yet they failed to harm even a single hair on Yansen's head. Just as the girl closed in at high speed, a palm strike descended from the heavens, suddenly slamming into her face. In that split second, an explosion no weaker than a hydrogen bomb instantly tore through the entire scene. The ground had vanished, replaced by a massive crater hundreds of meters deep. An ordinary person taking this hit would have lost all combat capability long ago, but the girl stood up once again, with healing symbols constantly appearing over her body. This was the unique healing magic of a magical girl. But since the final battle between heroes and monsters 11 years ago, the girl had never needed to use it again, simply because no one was capable of hurting her. But the power of the person before her had already exceeded all imagination. She had to surpass her limits. But before the girl could even react, Yansen appeared right in front of her. A massive surge of power suddenly erupted. The girl was blasted right off the earth, trailing sparks and lightning all the way. The scene shifts. Yan Sen was already there, waiting in the depths of space. A wave of spiritual pressure descended. The girl was slammed back down to the surface. Yan Sen reappeared before her in less than 0.01 seconds. This was her chance. The girl instantly ignited her energy. Magic overload, 500%. In the next heartbeat, boom, a deafening explosion leveled the entire surrounding ground. But there was no sense of impact, as if she would hit nothing, because Yan Sen had simply vanished. At that moment, Yan Sen was standing in the void of space. He swung two fingers as if wielding a longsword, using a mere 1,000th of his spiritual power. A sword rift manifested in the cosmos. It nearly sliced the earth clean in half. He essentially gave the planet a fresh haircut. Lan Chichi was almost split down the middle as well. Yan Sen descended and flew right up to Lan Chichi. "Young lady, did I startle you? How about we call it a day? You should just surrender." Unexpectedly, Lan Chichi was a stubborn one. She claimed she was a superhero who would never admit defeat. It was this conviction that brought her to where she is today. Today, she was determined to see who was superior. Yan Sen quickly stopped her. "I am far past the age of seeking out fights. If we keep going, the result will remain the same. People like you, who do not know their own limits, wouldn't last 2 seconds in my world." Lan Chichi remained defiant. She pushed her power up to 1,000%, preparing for one final, desperate gamble. Seeing his advice fell on deaf ears, Yan Sen sighed helplessly. "Fine. Then I shall let you witness my true strength." Yan Sen gave a low shout. Core formation. Blue electrical currents surged frantically. The entire sky began to darken. Yan Sen warned her. "This is called a lightning tribulation. It is a celestial phenomenon triggered when one forms a golden core after foundation establishment, a resonance between heaven and earth. This lightning spans 60,000 feet. In a single breath, it can strike 99,999 times. You would better be careful." At that moment, everyone within 100 miles was forced to their knees by a terrifying pressure. Even a superhero like Lan Chichi was pinned down, unable to move a muscle. Lan Chichi could not believe it. Am I really this pathetic in front of him? No, I will never bow my head. She forcibly boosted her power to 10,000%, using every ounce of strength to lift her head. She realized she was standing in the palm of Yan Sen's hand. She was as insignificant as an ant. Only now did she realize her level was countless dimensions away from this man. Her fighting spirit crumbled instantly. 10 minutes later, the ambulance rushed to the scene. Mengqi anxiously asked about Lan Chichi's injuries. The doctor said it was not a big deal, just a few fatal wounds. 6 months in the hospital and she will be fine. Mengqi turned and started blaming Yan Sen. "Couldn't you have gone a bit easier on Sister Lan?" Yan Sen felt quite helpless. She was the one who kept insisting on seeing my power. Besides, I controlled the tribulation lightning, so it did not even hit her. She is a superhero. She is not going to kick the bucket that easily. Mengqi saw there was no point in arguing further. Technically, Yan Sen had passed the instructor's trial. He should be able to get his superhero teacher license now, right? All this just to get a superhero license. He is eligible to teach at the Superpower Academy. His recommender, Mengqi, is introducing him to the state of this world. This is a world where superhumans are everywhere. Superpowers are generally classified into 10 levels. Going further up the ranks, they are demigod level, half-deity level, great god level, and high deity level. High deity heroes are the most powerful beings on this planet, but so far you have already trashed a bunch of them. Actually, you have already flattened 3 of them. The records also mention a legendary type of hero, the Paleo-Ancient Heroes. Legends say some of them can manipulate time. Some can even transcend time itself, harnessing the power of the stars and galaxies. Some can even control the orbits of the sun and stars. They wield the power of the cosmos, dominating the sun and the stars. Commanding the stars and the sun, some can even create higher dimensional rifts, harnessing cosmic energy to forge higher dimensions. They possess powers beyond comprehension, even creating new dimensions of time, unlocking powers that can manifest higher dimensional realities. However, they are all just myths now. They have been missing from the world for many years. Hearing this, Yan Sen finds these Paleo-Ancient heroes quite interesting. I really want to catch one to study it. Mengqi looks at the man in front of her. Mengqi stares at Yan Sen, momentarily stunned. She looks at him. Mengqi looks at Yan Sen, completely speechless. Then she asks, "I know you are powerful, but I am very curious. If you are this strong, how did you end up being sealed?" Only then does Yan Sen tell Mengqi about his past. It turns out Yan Sen comes from the Xuanzhou continent. He entered an immortal sect at the age of 6. First peak, the Tao peak, the peak of the Tao. At 6, he reached the spirit severing stage. At 18, he achieved foundation establishment and became an immortal. In less than 100 years, he had already cultivated to the rank of immortal venerable, reaching a height that others could not achieve. Even in 10,000 years, he became the supreme overlord of the celestial realm, becoming the sovereign of the heavens. At White Crane Mountain, His master spoke to him after a sparring session. Yan Sen, my disciple, although you have entered the immortal, venerable realm, that punch just now was still lacking. I have dominated the celestial realm my whole life, yet I still cannot comprehend the emperor immortal realm. Even an immortal, venerable, must eventually face the end of their days. Only by reaching the emperor stage can one attain true eternal life. I am nearing my time. I fear I have no more time to meditate on it. It is a pity. Time is running out. I am now handing the sect over to you. I hope you can lead our sect toward true eternity. Remember, do not engage in petty schemes or mindless violence. As an immortal, always leave a path for others. And so, Yan Sen became the youngest sect leader in the history of the celestial realm. He went into seclusion for 1,000 years to comprehend the emperor immortal realm. Hostile forces, seeking to seize his sect's ultimate treasure, took the chance to collude with the demon race and attack. This led to the destruction of Yan Sen's sect. When Yan Sen finally emerged as an emperor, his invincible power, fueled by burning hatred, wiped out half of the celestial realm with a single wave of his hand. His enemies were overwhelmed with regret. They realized they should never have provoked this god of death. Seeing they were about to be slaughtered to the last man, an enemy immortal elder came up with a desperate plan. He pulled out a treasure and pointed it at Yan Sen. Listen up, kid. I have the immortal locking tower. The immortal locking tower will be your tomb. I am calling your name. Do you dare to answer? Yan Sen was unbothered. You old geezer. You think this piece of junk can trap me? The Emperor Immortal, Yan Sen. Then why do not you step inside? Fine, I am coming in. With a sudden flash, Yan Sen dived straight into the immortal locking tower. Seeing Yan Sen take the bait, the elder immediately sealed the immortal locking tower. Sealing the tower, he locked down the immortal locking tower instantly. Heaven's rift, be gone. He cast Yan Sen into a spatial rift. Then, combining the power of all venerables, they sealed the spatial gateway. The celestial realm is hidden among countless minor worlds. Yan Sen will never find his way back. I won't be coming back. Yan Sen will never find his way back. And just like that, by a strange twist of fate, Yan Sen arrived on Earth. Those old fossils. Just wait until I get back. I will show them who is boss. This is the most bizarre school I have ever seen. The teacher is a god-tier immortal, on the level of the Jade Emperor. He does not teach STEM. He only teaches how to cultivate immortality. The students here are not easy to deal with either. Every single one of them is a genius with awakened superpowers. However, they have been at the Superhero Academy for 10 years without graduating, because the annual graduation exams are insanely difficult. If you fail, you have to repeat the whole year. Just when they thought they might never graduate, things took an unexpected turn. Xian Yu, a week ago, a new teacher arrived for the Destined Immortals class. Word is, his combat power is absolutely off the charts. He has already wiped the floor with 3 god-tier heroes. Unlike previous teachers, who were all superheroes, this new teacher is a cultivator. This is what the classroom looked like before he arrived, and this is what it looks like now. Even the school uniforms have been replaced by Taoist robes. The students are all hoping this teacher can teach them some real skills, so they can finally graduate. Zihao is one of those students. Unexpectedly, the teacher prioritizes tempering their character. Every day, he makes them copy the sect rules. 36,000 rules of the sect. Zihao has already copied them 200 times. The master's first lecture completely shattered the students' worldview. He told them the world is not round. It is flat, divided into 2 layers. The upper layer is the immortal realm, where the gods reside. Mortals must go through 4 stages to reach immortality. Qi refining, Spirit refining and void returning, void refining and Tao integration. Then comes foundation building for immortality, and immortals themselves are ranked in 4 tiers. The foundation stage is the celestial immortal. Above that, they are no longer called immortals. They are venerables. They are called venerables. Cultivation is not about being a tough guy or fighting. It is about pursuing the path of eternal life. At this point, Zihao finally lost his cool. Slamming the table, he shouted, "What kind of absolute gibberish are you teaching us? This is completely useless. In this world, the poor rely on mutations, the rich rely on technology, and average Joes like us can only rely on grinding harder than anyone else. As our teacher, you should be teaching us how to master our superpowers, not just flex and talk about living forever, instead of flexing and talking about immortality." Having said his piece, he threw his ridiculous headgear on the floor. He then slammed the door and stormed out. As the teacher, Yan Sen was not even angry. He simply turned back and continued the lesson. After school, Mengqi asked Master Yan Sen to meet her in the school's backyard. He had previously promised that he would guarantee they would pass the exam. That brat Zihao was venting his frustration by the river in the backyard. By coincidence, he suddenly spotted Yan Sen and Meng Qi together. He quietly followed them. Hiding behind a rock, he began to watch. Unexpectedly, he witnessed Yan Sen demonstrating a handmade nuclear blast. He saw him merging yin and yang spiritual energy together. Two giant dragons formed from spiritual particles appeared out of thin air. Then he compressed the giant dragons into a tiny, microscopic spiritual particle, holding it between his fingers like a small bead. Meng Qi asked in confusion, "What are you trying to do?" Yan Sen calmly replied, "Setting off some fireworks." After saying that, he flicked the spiritual particle away. Once it reached the sky above the ocean, Yan Sen gave a light command, "Detonate." That spiritual particle was like a comet hitting the earth. It produced a colossal explosion. A massive mushroom cloud rose instantly from the horizon. Zihao almost wet his pants in fear. It turns out Master Yan Sen is actually this overpowered. While Meng Qi was still trembling at the sight of the distant mushroom cloud, Yan Sen's voice echoed in her ear. Even mortals can use this technique. However, you must first be able to sense the surrounding spiritual energy, and then release it. Seeing that Meng Qi still did not quite understand, Yan Sen directly tossed a cultivation manual to her. The Qi Sea Dragon Transformation. She opened it to take a look. It was written right there. 0 stamina cost, infinite casting, invincible against anyone below immortal level. Meng Qi stared at Yan Sen and said, "You must have written such a broken cheat code move yourself, right?" Yan Sen spoke the truth without hesitation. He told Meng Qi he wrote it when he was 6 years old. Back then, he had not even begun Qi refining yet. In order to pass the sex entrance exam, he was forced to write this cheat code cultivation method. Zihao, who had witnessed all of this, was still in a state of utter shock. Early the next morning, he was kneeling at the classroom door. He even had a flag stuck on his back. It was written on it, "Master, I was wrong. Please teach me the path of immortality." When Yan Sen appeared at the door, "Stand up. Disciples of my sect do not need to kneel. Go to class now." Zihao looked at the magnanimous Yan Sen and shed tears of deep emotion. And in his mind, yesterday's nuclear explosion was still replaying. At this moment, his heart was incredibly firm. By following Master Yan Sen, I will definitely make it. This is a shell-less green-haired turtle monster. If its body is even touched once, it will detonate instantly. Then it uses cell regeneration to reform itself rapidly. It is essentially the ultimate counter for physical fighters. It turns out, this is the annual graduation exam of the Superhero Academy. The whole world will see this is the annual graduation exam of the Superhero Academy. This is the annual graduation exam of the Superhero Academy. As long as one can survive under the Green Turtle's assault for 3 minutes, they pass the exam. The examiners, this time, are the Rainbow Squad, known for setting the hardest exams in history. They are 5 superhumans ranked 2nd to 6th in the world, forming a superhero team. And this green-haired turtle is a demigod-level pet monster raised by the Rainbow Squad. With the host's command, the exam officially begins. Unexpectedly, the green turtle showed 0 sportsmanship. It inhaled deeply and unleashed a massive, indiscriminate explosion. The powerful blast even reached the spectator stands. Countless people were blown away, complaining as they fell. This energy output is already far beyond what a demigod level should be able to release. But as the shockwave from the explosion surged toward Yan Sen, he reached out a single hand and effortlessly blocked the impact. With a casual flick of his wrist, Yan Sen conjured a massive gale that blew the blast away. The sheer wind pressure nearly sent the entire Rainbow Squad flying, except for the Rainbow Captain. No one could even process what had just happened. Looking back at the center of the arena, only the green-haired turtle remained standing. The candidates had been almost entirely wiped out. Just as the green-haired turtle began to gloat, it suddenly noticed a strange boulder appearing on the field. It turned out to be the twin brothers from Superpower Class 1, Lu Ren A and Lu Ren B. They used their petrification superpower to tank the explosion, working in sync with another pair of twins from Class 2, Shen Kui and Shen Shu, who possessed healing abilities. With one side tanking and the other healing, they planned to simply stall for the full 3 minutes. Seeing this, the audience could not help but cheer for them. Perhaps they would become the first batch to graduate in 10 years. Unexpectedly, the green-haired turtle let out a sinister chuckle. Suddenly, a green hand reached out from its mouth. In the next second, it actually spat out a smaller version of itself. The small green-haired turtle spat again, and an even tinier one popped out. Spit, repeat, and repeat. It was playing a literal game of infinite Matryoshka dolls. Shen Shu curiously peeked out from a crack in the boulder. The original green-haired turtle immediately commanded the mini-clones to attack. The students hurriedly sealed the stone shut, but a single mini-turtle managed to squeeze inside. Following a muffled boom from within the stone, every single candidate in the first half of the exam was eliminated. Half the audience stood up to leave in disappointment, because for these students, this green-haired turtle was simply too overpowered. The second half was now the turn of Yan Sen's disciples. Zihao was still practicing hard, trying to replicate his master's handmade nuclear blast. At that moment, Mengche approached Yan Sen with a fawning smile. Master, this handmade nuclear blast move is way too hard to learn. Can't you teach me something else that is simple, yet powerful? Yan Sen replied, this is the only technique that requires no spiritual energy and can be used by mortals. Mengshi did not give up. Master, you have lived for thousands of years. Surely you have written more than just one technique. I could indeed write a manual that would make you pass instantly, but my honored mentor once forbade me from ever writing another technique. It turns out that over 2,000 years ago, at age 6, Yan Sen wrote the handmade nuclear blast manual, the Qi Sea Dragon Transformation. Later, this manual accidentally fell into the mortal realm. Because mortals could actually practice it, it spread like wildfire across the world. For a time, nuclear explosions were happening everywhere. Some mortals got so cocky after learning it, they even ascended to the heavens to challenge the immortals. The order of the celestial realm was thrown into utter chaos. Yes, it caused absolute mayhem in the heavens. Consequently, Yan Sen's mentor confiscated his primordial brush, banning him from ever writing another technique. So instead of racking your brains for shortcuts, you would better prepare properly for the afternoon exam. To spite the candidates, the examiner had actually thrown himself into a cesspool for an entire year. By the day of the exam, he had transformed into a monster soaked completely green. Since the greenskin monster's attack style involved wide area blasts, the explosions would send filth flying, making it 10 times more intimidating. Now it stood there with hands in its pockets, arrogantly acting like it had no equal. Even if you are the toughest guy in town, you are no match for me today. Today was the graduation exam of the Superpower Academy. Candidates only needed to survive the greenskin monster's onslaught for 3 minutes against its overwhelming power to successfully graduate. The first few batches of candidates had already been utterly defeated. Only the final group remained, Master Yan Sen's Superpower Class 1. Unfortunately, the level gap was so massive that some members were already thinking of giving up. Even the audience started to believe this was going to be a total blowout. They prepared to leave the arena early. Just then, the class monitor Chuji spoke up. Everyone, just buy me 1 minute of time. If I can pull off that one move, we still have a shot at winning this. Hearing this, the team's morale plummeted no longer. They were fired up. Igniting their fighting spirit, they resolved to buy the monitor the time she needed. Unexpectedly, the green-skin freak did not give them a second to prep. It spat out a swarm of little green-skin freaks that covered the ground. Then it commanded its green army to charge the graduation group. Seeing the situation, Zihao did not hesitate. He immediately unleashed his fire-type superpower. Combined with Xiaolu's wind-type superpower, they actually managed to neutralize the explosions from the green-skin freaks. They even blew back that disgusting filth the monster had launched. The greenskin freak realized these brats actually had some skills. It took a deep breath, preparing to unleash its ultimate move. It was not about to let these rookies graduate on its watch. The greenskin freak's body began to swell rapidly. In no time, it grew to an absurd, exaggerated size. Zihao knew they would not be able to tank this next hit. He asked anxiously, "Monitor, are you ready yet? Is it ready yet?" But Chuji remained unmoved, unfazed by the chaos. She recalled Master Yan Sen's teachings. To master this technique, you must let go of all distracting thoughts. Feel the spiritual chi of the world with your soul. The next second, the monitor truly achieved enlightenment. She saw a golden dragon formed of spirit particles coiling around her. A sense of absolute clarity, unlike anything she would ever felt, surged within her. Up in the stands, Master Yan Sen looked on with satisfaction. This disciple has decent talent. She is a good seed for cultivation. But before the monitor could fully charge her ultimate, the greenskin freak's ultimate move struck first. It unleashed its ultimate indiscriminate blast. The entire exam grounds were instantly engulfed in flames. The team scrambled to counter it. They quickly deployed their defenses. The four-eyed kid immediately used his ice superpower to block the blast. Powers at full throttle, Four Eyes threw up an ice wall to shield them. He desperately channeled his ice superpower to hold the line. However, he did not notice that his ice wall wasn't protecting the monitor behind him at all. The three of them were safe, but the monitor was in grave danger. To everyone's absolute shock, Chuji walked out from the smoke completely unharmed. The minute was up. The monitor had completed her cheat code ultimate move, the handmade nuclear blast. She fused the yin and yang spiritual chi around her, instantly manifesting 2 massive golden spirit dragons. The greenskin freak's eyeballs nearly popped out from fright. What in the world is this nonsense? Then, faking composure, it sneered. Just some flashy tricks to scare people. What kind of powerful move could a few students possibly pull off? The monitor smiled with absolute confidence. If you are so tough, stay right there and do not move. Fine by me. Out of the 4, you are the biggest noob. What are you going to do? Send me to heaven. I can't go to heaven myself, but I can certainly send you there. With a wave of her hand, the spiritual particle nuke shot straight toward the greenskin freak. The stubborn monster actually tried to take it head-on. The examiner captain shouted a warning. You absolute moron. "Get out of the way." Before the monster could even react, the dragon's massive maw was already right in its face. An insane surge of energy then tore through the exam grounds, blasting all the way to the edge of the horizon. Then a colossal nuclear mushroom cloud erupted. Everyone present was left with their jaws on the floor. A pity this was the monitor's first time crafting a nuke by hand. She had not quite mastered the direction and timing of the detonation. The green skin freak actually survived, though only half its body remained. If the Rainbow Squad leader had not warned it to dodge in time, it would have met its end right here today. Pity there are no ifs in this world, only consequences. Clearly, the green skin freak is livid now. It is about to vent all its fury on the students, venting its fury on them, venting its fury on them, venting its rage on the candidates. The beast intends to unleash all its wrath upon the students. Zihao sneered. This handmade nuclear blast can be cast infinitely. Chuji just needs to whip up another one. One more blast and it is over. However, Chuji looks like she has hit her limit. Unbeknownst to her, her body is trembling from exhaustion. From the stands, Master Yan Sen spotted the issue. Her mental state wavered just now, causing damage to her chi-si. To conjure another nuclear blast, she would need at least a year or two to recover. The green skin freak saw the girl could not fire again. It instantly became smug, thinking it has won this battle. Unexpectedly, a voice echoed through the air. "Hey, little green skin, I suggest you take back what you just said." The students turned around in curiosity. It was Xiao Lu. She was also making the hand signs for the handmade nuclear blast. The green skin freak almost wet itself in fear. "How can you all know this move?" her companions exclaimed in shock. "Xiao Lu, when did you learn that?" Xiao Lu smiled confidently. "It is not particularly hard. I got it just by watching." Master said cultivators must not be impatient. "Don't you understand the rules yet?" Then the four-eyed kid stepped forward and said, "If that is the case, since it is like this, I will whip one up as well." "What? Even you can do it." Zihao looked at Four Eyes in shock. "TCH, since the day you came back and begged Master for forgiveness, I knew this was not simple. I had already taken a peek at the technique. Didn't expect it to be a manual nuclear blast." At this moment, even Master Yan Sen could not help but sigh. When this technique fell to the mortal realm back then, not everyone could master it. Those who can learn it in such a short time are top-tier geniuses. Total geniuses indeed. To master it so fast, they must be ultimate prodigies. I did not expect to encounter 4 of them at once. I have truly found some treasures. Looking back at the field, the green skin freak's face was distorted. It did not plan on letting the candidates finish their ultimate move, while it was preparing its own counterattack. It had to eliminate the students before the nuclear blast was ready. Just then, a white cloth suddenly drifted onto the exam field. It was a signal of surrender thrown by Master Yan Sen. The students definitely were not faster than the green skin. He could not let these kids get hurt here. They should not suffer for a mere exam. Future immortals should not fall because of a trivial test, not over a small assessment. An immortal's path should not end due to this exam. He wanted the students to come back next year. The disciples were very obedient. They dutifully gave up on the exam. According to the rules, once a candidate forfeits, neither side can continue to attack. The host also loudly announced the end of the exam. Unexpectedly, the green skin freak did not intend to stop. It still unleashed a massive explosion. Then it took a long breath, feeling relieved now. Just when everyone thought the students were doomed, they found them all protected by a layer of energy in mid-air. It turns out Master Yan Sen had stepped in. "Master, Bicker's expression is looking terrifyingly grim." Yan Sen then slightly released his conqueror's aura. The entire examination hall began to tremble violently. The green skin freak was instantly suppressed to the point where it could not even breathe. With a sharp, piercing gaze, Yan Sen stared down the official and asked, "Why did not you follow the rules properly?" The green skin freak was literally scared witless. Officer Bicker just wanted to run home to his mommy. Seeing their creature in danger, the Rainbow Squad immediately attempted to recall it, but their recall suction was in front of Yan Sen, completely and utterly useless. Yan Sen simply pressed his palm downward. The green skin freak was instantly pinned to the ground, unable to budge an inch. The 4th member of the Rainbow Squad blew a fuse on the spot. "Damn it! How dare you touch my 5-star battle pet!" In the blink of an eye, the green skin freak had already been flattened into a pancake. With things having come to this, the Rainbow Squad could only helplessly recall the green skin freak. However, the device showed the green skin creature had dropped from 5 stars to half a star. You could say it was completely trashed. The 4th member of the Rainbow Squad could not hold back anymore. He roared at Yan Sen in a rage. "Black-robed Yan Sen, do you realize you have violated Article 365 of the Hero Code? Without authorization, no S-rank hero shall initiate an attack on another hero's pet." Yan Sen replied with a cold, dark expression. "We immortals have always believed in returning favors in kind. Harming my disciple is already a capital offense. Sparing its life is already the mercy of an immortal. That I left it with one breath is the ultimate benevolence of an immortal. If you are not satisfied, then step up and fight. The third member was furious and about to strike, but the leader, who had been silent, ordered the others to hold him back, because he felt an immense, overwhelming pressure emanating from Yan Sen. If a fight is inevitable, then we might as well all go in together. The host saw this and was absolutely ecstatic. This guy's superpower is literally tongue regeneration. He can talk forever. He immediately began a passionate live commentary and broadcast the scene live to every major television station. It was originally the ancient mech that silently guarded the earth. Yet now, it was at its wit's end against the seemingly tiny human. And facing such a colossal machine, this man did not even want to lift a finger himself. For this man is a cultivator over 2,000 years old. The power he displayed surpassed everyone's understanding. With the strength of just one man, he easily defeated Earth's #1 Rainbow Squad. But this also triggered the squad's hidden potential. By combining, they summoned the ancient mech unit 01. This is currently the strongest known combat force on Earth. The man looked at the 10,000-meter tall mech, his expression unchanged. Instead, he struck a strange pose. He even called out to his students, telling them to watch closely. Suddenly, formation flags appeared in the sky. The next moment, a shadow that blotted out the sun descended from the heavens. The figure immediately spoke to the man in a deep, booming voice. "Exalted immortal, you summoned this king. What are your orders? See that fellow over there. Go up and take him down." The two giant figures locked eyes for a moment. Both signaled that they could one-shot the other with a single move. At this moment, the city beneath their feet seemed incredibly minuscule, as the battle between them escalated to a disaster-level event. Citizens and students had already completely evacuated the city. Above, both combatants began to charge their energy. Then they each unleashed their ultimate signature moves. Despair slash versus Chi Essence Sever. The sharp sword intent even sliced through the mountain ranges. Yet neither had managed to claim victory. Subsequently, the two clashed in the air at speeds, breaking the sound barrier. The city below them also began to crumble and fall apart. After a series of intense exchanges, Unit 01 suddenly soared into the sky. The Immortal King, after receiving Yan Sen's spiritual power, followed closely behind. The two thus moved their battle into outer space. However, in the next instant, Unit 01 suddenly whipped around and struck. The Emperor Immortal was instantly slammed back down to the ground. But as the Emperor Immortal crashed down, the entire city's foundation was buckled and sent flying upward. The mayor, watching from a distance, nearly ascended to heaven right then and there from the shock. Yet, in the very next second, the Emperor Immortal straight up hurled the entire city back at his foe. He really is not giving the mayor any face at all, is he? Of course, an attack of this level was never going to be a real threat to Unit 01, but the moment it sliced through the city debris, the Emperor Immortal was already there to meet it. One punch nearly shattered Unit 01's faceplate. Then, seizing the momentum, he grabbed it and threw it toward Earth. Looking down at the mech plummeting into the Pacific Ocean, the Immortal Emperor stated bluntly, "Too weak. Truly pathetic. This is Unit 01, humanity's strongest legendary war machine. Yet against this man, who resembles the pagoda-bearing heavenly king, it was banished to the depths of the Pacific in a single move. Faced with these so-called cultivators, to what level must human technology evolve to even compete?" Just then, the ocean began to boil violently. It reminded people of an old legend. Every ancient mech possesses a unique, special ability. And when Unit 01 was first designed, it was gifted with the power of controllable hydrogen fusion. With a simple reach of its hand, nuclear submarine warheads erupted from the depths one after another. They transformed into pure fusion energy, surging into the sky, all homing in on the Emperor Immortal out in space. Just a bit of artillery. This king can do that too. Countless strands of yin and yang chi manifested in the void. The students below were completely dumbstruck by the sight. Under the Emperor's guidance, infinite dragon chi was unleashed toward the Pacific Ocean. In an instant, violent explosions rocked the atmosphere. The power was so immense, it felt as if 1,000 suns had suddenly appeared in the sky. Even this apocalyptic spectacle didn't stop the reporters from doing their jobs. By scouring ancient texts, they finally recovered some fragmented data on Unit 01. This type of ancient mech can absorb the pilot's abilities as its own. Simply put, the stronger the pilot, the more op it becomes. At the critical moment, Unit 01 used the third pilot's ability, teleporting instantly behind the Emperor Immortal, ready to deliver a fatal blow. But the Emperor, relying on his divine footwork, also achieved instant relocation. And so, the two clashed back and forth across the cosmos. No matter what ability Unit 01 unleashed, the Emperor Immortal had a cultivation technique to counter it. Seeing the stalemate drag on, Unit 01 activated its ultimate superpower. As everyone knows, knows, nuclear fusion is constantly occurring within the sun. This stellar-level energy was actually being harnessed by Unit 01. Massive energy gathered around the mech. It was as if a second sun had dawned in the heavens. Unit 01 shouted at the Emperor Immortal, "Hey cultivator, have the guts to face my blast head-on." With such a generous invitation, how could I possibly refuse? The Immortal Emperor simply raised a hand. A sphere of light condensed from the Chi Sea Dragon transformation manifested before him. He then hurled it violently at Unit 01. As it collided with the mech's fusion energy, an intense blinding light instantly stripped the entire world of its color. The energy released was clearly visible from the depths of space. As the energy finally dissipated, Yan Sen, watching from the sidelines, could not help but wonder if he had gone a bit too far this time. A mysterious structure suddenly appeared in the city's skyline. It turned out to be a school. They say this is the only way to effectively stop students from skipping class, and only that man could pull off something this extreme. Following the epic battle between the Emperor Immortal and Unit 01, both sides suffered devastating losses. After witnessing Yan Sen's overwhelming power, all the students knelt down in unison that day, begging Yan Sen to teach them the art of cultivation. From then on, under Yan Sen's transformation, the Superhero Academy became the Azure Sky sect. 6 months later, in the classroom, Yan Sen suddenly said to everyone, "In these past 6 months, you all have officially entered the gates of immortality. Now, we begin the next stage of your cultivation. To ensure everyone maintains a tranquil mind, I have decided to move the classroom to a new location." After saying that, the man snapped his fingers. Everyone felt the ground become unstable beneath them. By the time they regained their senses, they found the classroom floating 10,000 meters in the air. "Well, this is great. Mom never has to worry about me skipping class ever again." In the days that followed, this celestial classroom led the students across the entire world, running in Antarctica at sunrise, practicing swimming in the Pacific Ocean at noon, and training with swords in the Arctic at sunset. From time to time, he would have them soak in medicinal baths reserved for cultivators. The purpose of doing all this was to reach the realm of the peak martial artist. The so-called peak martial artist refers to the absolute limit of a mortal's physical capabilities. Humans must undergo high-intensity tempering to reach this particular stage. To truly begin immortality cultivation, one must draw qi into the body, guiding the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into the dantian. Only then can one break through the shackles of the flesh. Under such high-intensity training, Xiao Lu became the first peak martial artist in the class. With her current strength, she could even catch a fly mid-air with a pair of chopsticks. After 2.5 years of cultivating like this, class monitor Chuchi, Zihao, and Lan Bin also broke through to the peak martial artist realm. But on this day, a massive battleship suddenly appeared in the sky. A group of beings calling themselves the Kings of the Galaxy eyed the Earth like predators, mocking Earth as a planet with backward technological civilization. After conducting an energy scan, they confirmed that Earth posed no threat to them. Facing this alien civilization, the Superhero League was just about to declare a state of combat readiness. However, those campers on the battleship directly deployed their planet-killing cannon, preparing to deliver a fatal blow to Earth, ready to strike Earth with a finishing move. Have you ever wondered, between the Supermen in foreign movies and the cultivators in our novels, who is actually more powerful? You have seen Supermen with infinite strength, flying while defying gravity. But have you heard of a cultivator splitting the heavens with a sword, or tearing through the void? There is a manhwa that perfectly portrays the free-spirited nature of Chinese cultivation. It shows it in its full glory. Once you step onto the path of immortality, only eternal life remains in your eyes. Everything else is just a fleeting illusion. The protagonist's name is Yan Sen, a cultivator from the Xuanzhou continent. Entered the sect at age 6, reached the peak of martial arts at 10. At 16, he achieved qi transformation into spirit, and reached immortality through Dao integration just as he became an adult. In just 100 years, he became the overlord of the celestial realm, completing a journey others could not finish in 10,000 years. Until one day, he touched the boundaries of the celestial realm. For the sake of his sect's continuity, Yan Sen decided to go into seclusion, to strive for the legendary rank of Emperor Immortal that no one had ever reached. But during this time, enemy sects conspired with the demon race to seize the sect's supreme treasure. They wantonly slaughtered and tortured the sect's disciples. The personal disciples were even hung from the sect's main building. 300 years of scorching sun exposure. By the time he emerged from his secluded cultivation, he had already attained the supreme status of Emperor Immortal. Under the vast heavens, he no longer had a worthy opponent. Witnessing the tragic state of his sect, the man was instantly consumed by rage. With a mere wave of his hand, he slaughtered half the living beings in the entire celestial realm. Because his methods were deemed too cruel, the celestial realm united the immortals, demons, and monsters, combining the power of the three races to launch a crusade against him. In the end, they sacrificed 5 immortal venerables, 100 profound immortals, and countless lesser immortals as the price, to seal him away within the immortal locking tower. Then they cast both the man and the tower into a spatial rift. When he finally awoke, he found himself in the skies above Earth. This vibrant green planet was once plagued by so-called monsters. They ran rampant across the globe for several centuries, until certain individuals appeared. The people called these individuals heroes. After over a decade of intense warfare, the monsters gradually vanished into obscurity. Some even became pets for the heroes. The heroes slowly returned to their normal lives, but the arrival of Yan Sen shattered the peace of this world. He is considered the most powerful villain to date, simply because he wiped out over 20 superheroes with a flick of his wrist, and then walked away as cool as you like. As he learned more about his surroundings, Yan Sen gradually understood what kind of world this was. People here could fly through the sky without using flying swords. They could move rapidly across the ground without Dharma treasures. Girls even walked the streets without wearing those inner garments. This was the 1316th time aliens had attacked Earth. Past failures had taught them one thing: this technologically backward planet was not as simple as it seemed. So this time, they made a special trip to bring their planetary king, determined to conquer this blue planet once and for all. Just as the fleet prepared to use their Starslayer cannon for a total wipeout, the Superhero League building on the ground suddenly shook violently. Then, a figure soared into the sky, charging straight against the beam of the Starslayer cannon. The reinforced warships shattered like glass upon impact with this person. Before long, explosions echoed through the air. The man finally revealed his true identity. He was the Superhero League's hidden trump card for years, the one who saved Earth from numerous crises, Photon Man. He already possessed the body of a top-tier superhuman, and had undergone advanced cybernetic enhancements. But 10 years ago, he vanished during the battle against the Lord of Monsters. Now, his return caused a massive sensation across the globe. Unit 01 could not wrap its head around it. How could its nuclear-powered core lose to this hybrid guy? At that moment, the Monster King, who had been hiding in the shadows, suddenly appeared, but he was already scared witless by Photon Man's overwhelming power, and wanted nothing more than to flee. Photon Man, however, was basking in the cheers of the crowd, unable to pull himself away. By the time he realized what was happening, the Monster King had already opened a spatial wormhole. With their technology, they could appear tens of thousands of light years away in an instant, but in the next second, they appeared right in front of Photon Man again. Everyone was stunned. After that, no matter how hard they tried, they were just running in place. Photon Man also sensed something was wrong. It was not that they did not want to escape, but that someone had locked down this space from a higher dimension. Unit 01 on the ground saw this and blurted out, "He is finally making his move." Just then, Yan Sen pointed a single finger toward the sky. A beam of sword chi instantly obliterated the spaceship. Its momentum did not fade as it pierced straight through space itself. Photon Man, witnessing the scene, was jumped out of his skin. "You have got to be kidding me, right? Who would have thought that in just 10 years, such a terrifyingly powerful person would appear on Earth?" Unit 01 looked at the members of the Rainbow Squad, and said with profound gravity, "This black-robed Yan Sen might be even more powerful than any of us could ever imagine. This school does not even teach literacy or math. Instead, they teach cultivation. But the students here are suffering every single day, because not only do they endure insane physical training daily, they also have to comprehend various obscure and difficult cultivation techniques. From time to time, led by their teacher, they learn how to set up various mystical arrays. Of course, students with high talent can quickly stand out from the crowd, while those with poor talent find it hard to achieve any breakthrough. In the world of cultivation, everything depends on one's spiritual root. A top-tier spiritual root makes cultivation twice as effective with half the effort, but a poor one means you are simply not destined for immortality. This girl's name is Nianyu. Her talent ranks at the bottom of the whole class. Her spiritual root is completely fractured. Watching her classmates successfully draw chi into their bodies one by one, she is filled with nothing but envy. No matter how much extra effort she puts in, all she gets in return are countless bruises and scars. Fortunately, she has a very responsible teacher. With a wave of his hand, the man heals her injuries, and tells her a story about my master, who is also your grandmaster. In his youth, he had it much worse than any of you. At least all of you have a spiritual root, more or less. But he did not even have a spiritual root at all. He was even kicked out of his home as a child. Despite that, he never gave up on cultivation. Through sheer hard work, he eventually reached the pinnacle of the immortal path. So in my eyes, talent does not mean much. As long as you find the field you are good at, and push it to the absolute limit, that is enough. Nianyu was deeply shaken by his words. Suddenly, she was filled with confidence for the future. And just like that, the legend of Master Yan Sen spread throughout the school to take care of these children's daily lives. He even cooks all 3 meals himself. This is to ensure that every student gets enough nutrition. Later, Yan Sen also learned that Earth is divided into 4 main campuses, East, West, South, and North. There is a ninja academy dedicated to training ninjas, a mage academy that spends all day researching high-tech magic, and a superhero academy full of people in tight spandex. And finally, the bottom-ranked superpower academy, which is now the Azure Sky sect. It is said that if they take first place in the monster hunting tournament, a dedicated statue of the teacher can be built in the center of the continent. Furthermore, the whole world would release all kinds of collectible action figures and toys. By then, the Academy's prestige will skyrocket. After saying all this, the class monitor looked at Yan Sen with a face full of anticipation. The goal is to get Yan Sen to sign up for the monster hunting tournament, because in all previous tournaments, their academy finished dead last. The monitor believes that with Yan Sen's arrival, they will definitely seize the championship this time. Meanwhile, Photon Man has returned to the Superhero League headquarters. The chairman came out to greet him, but was immediately shocked to hear that Photon Man wanted to challenge Yan Sen. He was startled out of his wits. Half the city is still floating in space right now. Can't you guys just give me a break for once? But then he realized, if the blacklisted Photon Man has actually broken his seal, then a major catastrophe threatening Earth must be about to happen. And that previous alien invasion clearly was not enough. Suddenly, Photon Man spoke. Exactly. If I am not dead, then that guy must still be alive too. Hiss. A rift suddenly appears in the sky, and 2 flying swords shoot out from within. As they land, dust clouds billow everywhere. Looking closely, 2 women are standing there, wielding dual swords. This scene completely stuns the 2 minor monsters nearby. These 2 clearly have human appearances, yet their bodies are overflowing with demonic energy. At that moment, inside the Great Hall, cheers from various monsters can be heard, because their true King of Kings has returned. And this time, his return is driven by a singular ambition, to conquer the entire world. Currently, he is summoning the 4 heavenly kings of monsters to convene a great assembly of vengeance. He plans to exploit the upcoming monster hunting Grand Prix to completely annihilate the human superhero alliance. Just then, the voice of a lesser monster echoes from outside the door. He is seen leading 2 humanoid monsters into the hall. Seeing this, the Monster King decided that even small fry are better than nothing. He agreed to let the 2 of them join. After all, these 2 have a combat power of only 5, and they do not seem to possess any superpowers at all. But the pair walked straight up to the King of Kings himself. They asked, "Are you the big boss around here?" Then, drawing a blade, they unleashed a move, the great horizontal slash. By the time the sword was sheathed, the entire space was covered in a dense web of sword scars. The poor, legendary King of Kings was forced to bite the dust the moment he stepped onto the stage. Immediately, the girl extended her hand and gave a powerful push. The dark mist filling the sky instantly dissipated. Even the ground was scrubbed clean as if brand new. The woman declared dominantly, "From now on, I am your king, the great king." Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, Yan Sen's nose twitched. It felt as if he had caught a whiff of a familiar aura. At this moment, he was being invited to attend a high-level meeting, and the agenda of this meeting was specifically to prevent the emergence of the monster King of Kings. Under Mengqi's constant nagging and persuasion, Yan Sen reluctantly agreed to come along just to see the commotion. On the podium, the chairman was briefing everyone on the terrifying power of the King of Kings. Back in the day, even Photon Man almost had to sacrifice himself to take him down. What the crowd did not know, however, was that the King of Kings had just met his end moments ago, and pointed her sword at the horde of monsters. She shouted, "Kneel and address me as Great Demon King." Under the overwhelming pressure of the 2, the monsters fell to their knees one after another, acknowledging her as king. However, Ning, standing by her side, was still a bit curious. "If you wanted to be king, fine, but why did you have to kill him?" And simply replied that it was because he was too ugly. The 2 then felt that the magical beasts of this world were way too weak. There was absolutely no sense of achievement in being king here. They opened a portal on the spot, ready to leave whenever they pleased. Seeing this, the Monster King immediately ran over crying. Clinging to Anne's leg, he wailed, "Great Demon King, the King of Kings is gone now. If you 2 leave as well, we will all end up as pets for those superheroes." Hearing this, Anne was not interested at first, but then she thought about how these monsters were technically her subordinates now, and this situation reminded her of their old world, and those damn cultivators. Nowadays, monsters invading Earth give advance notice. They even send out small monsters to help evacuate the citizens beforehand. Not only are the monsters polite to humans, but even children can chat and laugh with the monsters. Indeed, even children can be seen laughing and playing with them. It is a sight to behold, children and monsters getting along perfectly. Even the kids can joke around with these creatures. The smart monsters often use the simplest methods to invade Earth, while those who start by burning, killing, and looting usually end up getting beaten into a vegetative state by superheroes. On a rooftop, a few monsters who have seen through the futility of life are gathered together, having a barbecue. They lament how they once came to Earth with grand ambitions of conquest, but now, those who rushed to the front have all become cannon fodder. This so-called monster hunting Grand Prix is really just about getting the monsters a steady salary. Yes, it is just about putting them on the payroll and then sending them to work at the academies. Basically, it is just a job placement program at schools. So is not it just better to lie flat and chill? Today happens to be the day the Grand Prix is held. Many monsters have been training their superpowers hard, just to be scouted by a top-tier academy. As the various academies arrive from the sky, a reporter announces the rules of the competition. The first trial is a test of speed. Each academy must descend at maximum speed to see who touches down first. The Ninja Academy, represented by the Rainbow Squad, takes the lead. They charged right down. The Superhero Academy, relying on their speed advantage, followed closely behind. The Magic Academy, however, remained calm, cruising along on their broomsticks. As for the Ninja Academy, they specialized in all sorts of sneak attacks and ninjutsu. Taking advantage of their positioning, they suddenly spun around. They actually started lobbing bombs at all the other academies. This move successfully pissed everyone off. Seeing this, the mages stopped playing nice. Their leader literally pulled out an RPG. With one single welcome blast, the ninjas were blown to smithereens. The other mage sisters did not hold back either. They broke out their high-tech hardware, ready to grant everyone physical salvation. It was not just the Ninja Academy. Even the Superhero Academy became their target. Just like that, a fierce dogfight erupted in the sky. The three major academies did not care at all about the Cultivation Academy, which always ranked dead last in the WorldNet tournament. Meanwhile, on the azure sky sex-flying vessel, Chuji stood alone upon the hilt of a sword, communing with the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. She then struck a pose identical to the Emperor Immortals from that day. Chi Sea Dragon Transformation. Seeing this, the Rainbow Squad could not help but recall the sheer terror of being dominated by the Emperor Immortal. This handmade nuclear blast is no joke. If things go south, it could level this entire city. As for Yan Sen, he simply marveled at how quickly his disciple was learning. A second sun suddenly appeared in the sky above the city. However, the citizens did not seem to mind at all. They were even watching the live broadcast on TV with great interest, thinking it was just some big display for the four academies tournament. But what they did not know was that seemingly bright orb of light possessed power comparable to a nuclear warhead. If it drops, the whole city is going straight to heaven. At this point, if the Cultivation Academy wanted to stay low-key, it was clearly impossible. The other three academies had already noticed the commotion here. After some reconnaissance, the Ninja Academy realized exactly how devastating this technique was. They immediately rallied the three academies to launch a combined assault on the Cultivation Academy. But right now, because her ultimate move requires such a long casting time, Chuji was unable to move. Xiaolu and the others stood in front with their swords drawn. Having cultivated in silence for so long, it was finally time to put their results to the test. The leader of the Ninja Academy was the first to face Zihao. In his eyes, Zihao was nothing more than a pyrokinetic esper. We all know what happens when an assassin gets close to a mage, right? But in the next second, Zihao unleashed the Nine Heaven sword script. That sudden sword strike nearly left the man critically wounded, no longer holding anything back. The two of them became a blur as they clashed in mid-air. The scene shifts over to the Magic Academy. Their enchanted firearms were all being blocked by Lanbin alone. By sensing the fluctuations in the world's spiritual chi, he precisely intercepted every single shot. Lanbin named this technique Blind Sword. Meanwhile, the Superhero Academy ran into Xiaolu, the strongest student in the class. Her strength has already reached the half-step soul transformation stage. Lightning flared violently all around her. Then she pressed both hands downward. Taiji slaying formation. Countless swords rained down from the heavens, pinning all the attackers to the spot. The audience seeing this shouted, "Holy cow, how the heck are they supposed to fight that?" But just then, the superhero class representative actually broke his seal. His entire being entered a state of pure frenzy. According to the Ninja Academy, this is the berserk ability unique to the superhero class rep. Last year, they were defeated by this guy after he went berserk, facing the superhero class rep, whose strength and speed were fully boosted. Xiaolu simply reached out and made a grasping motion. In the next second, a giant sword appeared silently in the sky. In an instant, it suppressed the superhero class representative until he could not even flinch. By now, the Chi Sea Dragon transformation was finally fully charged, possessing power that could rival a god, cultivating techniques that manipulate the spiritual energy of the world, offers boundless potential for growth. As for those born with extraordinary talent, they can rely on a single strike to suppress the powerhouses of the three great superhero academies. While everyone's attention was fixed on the battle above, Grey Shadow seized the chance to launch a sneak attack. With one cage technique, he trapped Zihao where he stood. He then rushed to reinforce the superhero academy above. He knew all too well the devastating power of that handmade nuclear blast. Meanwhile, seeing more and more enemies closing in on her, Xiao Lu decided to stop holding back. Her flying swords descended from the heavens, narrowly missing vital organs, yet piercing right through the crowd. Facing such an overwhelming opponent, Grey Shadow felt his strength failing him. However, he quickly thought of a countermeasure. The Ninja Academy possessed an illusion art capable of bewildering the mind. He only needed to use an amplifier to transmit the sound into Chu Chi's ears, and her spellcasting would be interrupted. Sure enough, when the skill activated, Chu Chi instantly lost her focus. In a daze, she saw herself standing beside her master, while the man beside her whispered nothing but tender words. Hearing this, Chu Chi's face immediately flushed bright red. A moment later, she snapped back to reality and coughed up a large amount of blood. With her state of mind damaged, she could only plummet toward the ground. But right now, what she worried about more was the Chi Sea Dragon transformation. Because in this state, the Chi Sea Dragon transformation had already fully materialized. Even without anyone controlling it, it would not disappear. Instead, the spiritual energy would go berserk, becoming powerful and uncontrollable. The Ninja Academy students were overjoyed at the sight. Only the class monitor, Grey Shadow, noticed something. The giant orb in the sky had not vanished. On the contrary, its energy was becoming even more violent. At this point, it was impossible for Xiao Lu to take over. Watching the light orb grow increasingly unstable, Photon Man had no choice but to step in. As for Yan Sen, he was silently calculating his students' strengths and weaknesses. Zihao has a short attention span. Lan Bin only cares about his own fight. The class monitor is far too careless, and while Xiao Lu is practically flawless, she is not decisive enough in her killing. Ah well, the path of cultivation is naturally full of bumps. Hopefully, they can gain something from this battle. Having said that, the man reached out and pressed down toward the giant dragon. The massive dragon was instantly suppressed, unable to move a muscle. Even Photon Man, who was standing nearby, found himself completely immobilized. Before he could even marvel at the sight, Yan Sen clenched his hand into a fist. The sky full of radiance instantly collapsed and shattered. This casual display of power once again left everyone in cold sweat. After the shock subsided, just as the three academies were about to start their clash, they heard the announcer making a declaration. The Immortal Cultivation Academy has claimed victory. It turns out the Class 2 airship, while everyone else was busy fighting, had leisurely circled around twice, and managed to be the first to land. And so the first match ends. Wait, I remember now. And so the first match ends. Meanwhile, on the other side of the earth, the blonde kid who was blasted to the northern hemisphere stared at the two individuals calling themselves monsters, remaining speechless for a long time. These two girls had torn this place apart, simply because they did not have enough fun at the amusement park. They even threatened to level the entire area. Being cultivators from another world, they naturally looked down on these mundane entertainment facilities. The massive commotion from the explosions sent people fleeing in all directions. But just then, a blonde figure came into view. Once they saw who it was, the two little monsters immediately began to tremble with fear. The blonde kid's return this time came with a massive power boost. 3 years ago, Yan Sen had blasted him to the northern hemisphere in one move. Since then, he had resolved to train in isolation for 3 years. Not only had his body been forged, but even his battle armor had been upgraded significantly. Now, seeing these new species of monsters before him, he could not help but want to test the results of his years of cultivation. He did not hesitate to speak up, asking the two if they were willing to become his pets. Unbeknownst to him, in the eyes of a cultivator, those words implied being a dual cultivation furnace. However, Ning did not refuse. Instead, she said everything is negotiable if he could defeat her. Blondie did not waste any time either, directly summoning his armor to transform. Seeing this, the nearby minions quickly warned the Demon King that this armor only gets stronger the longer the fight lasts, unless finished instantly. Hearing this, Ning's interest was piqued. This kind of technique that grows stronger through combat is rare even in the cultivation world. And so, the grand battle between the two began. It lasted for a full 2 hours. Ning sent Blondie flying with a single kick and sighed. It has been an entire hour. already. Why are you still so weak? With his armor starting to shatter, Blondie finally realized the gravity of the situation. This person's power was far beyond his own. During the fight just now, he had already cranked up his power output several levels, but this new species before him was clearly holding back, allowing him to slowly surpass his limits. In that case, it is time to go full power. Seeing Blondie's aura suddenly surge, Ning was momentarily taken aback. Meanwhile, the monsters nearby cried out in shock. The flashback power-up is happening. Through years of fighting heroes, the monsters learned that once heroes trigger a flashback montage, their power explodes exponentially, allowing them to one-shot any monster. Not only that, there is also a thing in this world called Genki. Even if a hero is beaten to death by a monster, as long as people share a bit of this so-called Genki, the hero will instantly resurrect and obliterate the monster. After receiving the flashback buff, Blondie indeed saw a massive surge in strength. Fully charged, he was ready to unleash his plasma energy cannon. Although in thought the name sounded totally lame, Ning had a serious expression on her face, because she could clearly sense that Blondie was indeed several times stronger than before, and the surrounding energy was still gathering rapidly. Seeing this, Ning decided to play along. First, she visualized an object in her mind, then manifested it using her spiritual chi. Take this, my plasma ice cream cannon. Blondie roared in anger. Don't you dare underestimate me, you bastard. The moment their attacks collided, Blondie's plasma cannon was instantly dissipated. A violent explosion shook the air, and the intense light literally lit up the northern hemisphere. At the same time, Yan Sen in the southern hemisphere was suddenly stunned. He seemed to sense a familiar aura, but he just could not remember what it was. Strange, I am only over 2,000 years old. How is my memory getting this bad? Those two monsters were currently reading an instruction manual. These Gen Z monsters knew absolutely nothing about cultivation artifacts. After a brief glance at the manual, they had their subordinates haul the artifact to a rooftop. The minions followed the boss's instructions, using blood as a pact to activate the incantation. Suddenly, thunder rolled and lightning flashed across the sky. A strange-looking figure descended from the heavens. This figure, with a leopard's head and a human's body, exuded a terrifying pressure that only cultivators could truly sense. The small monsters were still gloating, proud of themselves for summoning such a powerful beast. Little did they know, a great catastrophe was already upon them. The first to notice was Xiao Lu from the class. She knew clearly that before them stood a demon beast with soul transformation stage power. It was on a completely different level than those ordinary monsters. And to cooperate with this operation, the monsters even deployed spatial lock technology, severing all contact with the outside world. Yan Sen had been sensing a familiar aura for a while now. Finally it clicked, it is a great transformed demon. The magical girl, standing nearby, clearly could not wrap her head around such a concept. Simply put, a great transformed demon is pretty much the same as the monsters in this world. The only difference is, demonic beasts in the cultivation world choose to take human form, to better comprehend the great Tao of heaven and earth. Through cultivation, they can even ascend to immortality. Hence, these great demons possess elite-level IQs. With just one glance, it identified that Xiao Lu was the strongest among the group. Without hesitation, it raised its sword and charged straight for her. Seeing this, Xiao Lu urgently shouted for everyone to run. This move was witnessed by the other academies, who mocked the cultivation class for being nothing but cowards. The superhero class representative took the lead and charged right in. Burning with rage, he was ready to show off his moves. Unexpectedly, with just a simple punch from the Demon King, the Man of Steel class rep was sent flying hundreds of meters away. He lay buried in the rubble, completely unconscious, while the Demon King, totally knocked out, knocked out cold, while the Demon King did not even see what kind of trash had tried to block its path. But by the time it regained its focus, it realized Xiao Lu and the others had already vanished. As expected of cultivators, their tactical retreat speed is top tier. Meanwhile, the outside world was in a frantic panic due to the signal loss. Top heroes were dispatched, yet none could breach the barrier. It was not until two god-tier heroes arrived that a crack was finally torn into the barrier. When the broadcast signal finally reconnected, the audience saw the Demon King single-handedly overwhelming the three major academies. Only the cultivation class remained undefeated, thanks to their timely escape. Just then, the reinforcement Black Gold Superman arrived on the scene. He immediately hurled a massive boulder at the Demon King. Caught off guard, the Demon King was smashed into a building. Black Gold Superman started flexing, saying, "Listen up, kitty cat. Single quote, "As long as I am here, do not even think about hurting these students." The Demon King flew into a rage upon hearing that. It instantly summoned its natal weapon and unleashed a rage kill move on Black Gold Superman. The hero who looked so boss just a second ago was impaled in the blink of an eye. Watching the critically wounded Black Gold Superman fall, the Demon King cursed and roared, "You bastard! Your whole damn family are the kitty cats." With that, it dived down to deliver the finishing blow. Right at that moment, a figure soared into the sky, empowered by her teammates' formation. Xiao Lu temporarily attained the power of the spirit severing stage. She swung her sword with full force, splitting the entire ground in two. The sword light extended for countless miles. Xiao Lu herself was startled by the sheer power. However, such terrifying destructive force only managed to wound the Demon King. "Come on, at least we now have a fighting chance. Fortunately, we now have the strength to stand our ground." This man was dumped in the desert by two irresponsible women. The brutal scenes from moments ago were burned into his memory, impossible to erase. Truth be told, if he was not so handsome, he probably would have lost his life long ago. The two women had already walked quite a distance. After learning that their boss was not just powerful, but also a total sucker for good looks, the thug boss hurriedly fixed his makeup. He was terrified of being pimp-slapped to death by her. Suddenly, the woman pulled out a portrait. She asked if anyone in this world was a cultivator who dressed like that. The little monster replied that the powerhouses here all wear skin-tight suits, with red rags draped over their shoulders. Hearing this, the woman felt completely at ease. It meant that no one in this world could possibly be their match. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Xiao Lu and the Demon King are already locked in a fierce battle. With the empowerment of the formation, both of them now possess the strength of the soul transformation stage. Bastard, the Demon King's diving strike was easily dodged by Xiao Lu. Seizing the opening, she delivered a heavy kick straight to the Demon King's head. By the time the Demon King recovered from being sent flying, Xiao Lu had already vanished from his sight. High up, 10,000 meters in the sky, Xiao Lu concentrates her spirit and calms her breath. Her hands gather the dual energies of yin and yang. Sea Dragon Transformation, second form. It turns out reaching the soul transformation realm allows one to fire a handmade nuclear blast instantly. Watching the surging nuclear blast heading his way, the Demon King was absolutely panicking. Still, he braced himself and charged upward. In the next moment, the Demon King burned his essence blood, using every ounce of his strength to deflect the nuclear blast aside. But even so, the aftershock of the explosion still sent the Demon King tumbling. The violent fluctuations shocked the two newly arrived women. "That is right, this aura belongs to those bastards. Wasn't it said that there were no cultivators in this world?" Ning immediately grabbed in, ready to make a run for it. However, the meticulous In noticed something. These cultivators only have the cultivation of the Qi refining stage. The strongest among them is only at soul transformation. But after a moment of thought, she stopped Ning, who was about to rush forward again. "Have you forgotten what this bunch of cultivators loves to do most?" "That is right. Playing the pig to eat the tiger. They make you think they are weak at first, until the final moment when they suddenly explode with power and beat you into submission. For now, we should observe carefully. We must not let the ship capsize in a small ditch." On the other side, the Demon King looked at the dissipating mushroom cloud. "This move looks scary, but it is actually not that much, is it? Didn't anyone tell you this move can be spammed infinitely?" The Demon King's face froze in utter shock. "What?" The reason is that during a duel, someone just threw a nuclear bomb at him. With his strength, taking even one hit would be enough. Who knew this woman would start with a 10-hit combo? The transformed demons watching below could not help but marvel. This kind of handmade nuclear blast that does not consume mana. I wonder which freak wrote this cultivation technique. At the critical moment, the Demon King saw the crowd below, providing energy to Xiao Lu. He immediately drew his sword and charged for the kill. It turns out that taking hostages is very effective. Xiao Lu indeed came down to block the blade for her teammates. The two were soon locked in close combat. However, as the Demon King unleashed his full power, Xiao Lu, who had just reached soul transformation, was gradually overwhelmed. The Demon King had entered the soul transformation realm 300 years ago. His control over spiritual energy is far superior to Xiao Lu's. In the next moment, the Demon King seized an opening and sent her flying with one blow. She only stopped after crashing through countless buildings. This series of attacks left Xiao Lu seriously injured, but as soon as she looked up, she realized the Demon King was already planning to deliver the fatal blow. Just when everyone thought Xiao Lu was doomed, they suddenly noticed her striking a strange pose. Thinking back carefully, it was exactly like Yan Sen's back then. King summoning, Sword Immortal Underworld King, following a loud roar from the heavens. The Emperor Immortal arrived as expected. How dare a lowly demon act so presumptuously before this king? This shocking scene left everyone speechless. The other three major academies could not help but curse. The students of this cultivation class are way too overpowered. The transformed demons in the distance saw this, and said in shock, "This woman must die. We absolutely cannot let her grow any further." The Demon King was beyond words at this point. He immediately grabbed a few small monsters and prepared to bolt. However, his tiny body was like a mere ant, crawling before the Emperor Immortal. The Emperor Immortal drew his sword and aimed at the Demon King. He thrust his sword down, striking both the demon and the city. A sky full of fire erupted, waiting for the smoke to clear. The entire city had been reduced to ashes in an instant. Well, at least Mom won't have to worry about me not coming home anymore. Look, those monsters have been beaten back into their original forms. Xiao Lu could not help but marvel at the Emperor Immortal's overwhelming power. That single strike had completely drained all of his spiritual energy. It seems I should use this move more sparingly in the future. Wait, something's wrong. My body is totally hollowed out. So why has not the Emperor Immortal disappeared yet? Just then, the Emperor Immortal's voice rang out, heavy with gravity. You must realize that your current situation is extremely precarious. I can sense them in the distance. Two individuals are radiating an incredibly terrifying, murderous intent, and their target is you. He is about to clash with the Dragon King of the East Sea. What is even more unexpected is the Dragon King's sheer size. His own 10,000-meter tall frame looks like a tiny chick standing before him. Damn it. The surrounding space has been completely sealed off. It is preventing me from absorbing any solar energy. After a few rounds of combat, even the paint on Unit 01's hull has been blasted off. But right at that moment, space suddenly tore open. The Emperor Immortal appeared out of thin air and sent the Dragon King flying with a single kick. Brother, you have really gone soft, have not you? The others were still in a daze, processing the Emperor Immortal's arrival, only to see him leave behind a handmade nuclear blast on the spot. Then he charged straight ahead. To prevent the nuclear blast from affecting Unit 01, he thoughtfully slammed it down into the ground first. While everyone below was still recovering from the shock, they finally realized what was going on. It turns out Unit 01 and the others were trapped in another dimension, locked in a grand battle against the Dragon King, summoned by the Monster King. Although the Emperor Immortal and Unit 01 do not see eye to eye, they decided to join forces to defeat the enemy at this moment. The Dragon King, unable to gauge the Emperor Immortal's true depth, launched a probing attack first. Unexpectedly, he was sent flying again by a single kick from the Emperor Immortal. Watching the explosion in the distance, the Dragon King finally remembered this man is the Sword Immortal of the underworld. Seeing that he was no match, the Dragon King went full toxic and started an indiscriminate bombardment of Earth. Earth is basically saying, gee, thanks for nothing. Fortunately, the Emperor Immortal's speed was fast enough. Using his movement techniques, he neutralized the fireballs one by one. Realizing he was still outclassed, the Dragon King took a deep breath. His body, already as massive as the moon, began to swell even further. The atmosphere is being sucked away. This guy actually plans to use the safety of the entire Earth as a bargaining chip. He is literally holding the planet hostage. But just then, a voice echoed from below. It turned out that during this interval, Unit 01's nuclear fusion core had finished charging. The immense energy swirling around it was actually reaching the level of the Tao integration stage, before the Dragon King could even begin his self-destruction. In the next second, a pillar of light erupted from the ground. The power was so immense that even the Emperor Immortal had to keep his distance. The Dragon King, hit directly, did not even have time to scream before. He was reduced to mere wisps of ash and smoke. HMPH, Unit 01 looked at the scene in the sky. He let out a cold snort. Son of a... Single quote. Weren't you guys having a lot of fun earlier? Then, looking at the landing Emperor Immortal, he said, all right, big guy, now it is our turn. One would have expected the Emperor Immortal to agree readily, but instead he stared at the ground with a grim expression. He said that an even bigger problem had yet to be resolved. It turns out that a few minutes ago, the Emperor Immortal had sensed the killing intent from two great demons. With the current strength of the Cultivation class, they would likely be swatted to death like flies by those two. Thus, the Emperor Immortal decided to burn his own lifespan, to shield Xiao Lu within his own body. He could feel the sheer power of those two. By his strength alone, he clearly was not their match. So he broke the spatial seal to bring Unit 01 in for backup. Looking at the cheering crowds below, Unit 01 clearly did not take the threat seriously. Who would have guessed that the two people below, watching the scene, though their faces remained expressionless, were slowly drawing their swords? This woman might look harmless on the surface, but her true power is enough to make the entire world tremble. Just as everyone was cheering for the Dragon King's defeat, the woman suddenly unsheathed the sword at her waist. In the blink of an eye, she appeared right behind the Immortal King. The 10,000-meter tall Immortal King was actually severely wounded by a single strike from this woman. This scene sent shockwaves through the entire crowd. Her power has completely surpassed everyone's wildest imagination. Ancient Mech Unit 01 could not even process what just happened. After scanning the two of them, the system realized these two are not even human at all. However, the woman was not about to give them any breathing room. Seeing the immortal king still trying to protect Xiao Lu inside him, she prepared to go on a total killing spree. Unit 01 could not just stand by and watch anymore. You still dare to harm people? Does she think I am freaking invisible or something? But in the next instant, Ning simply extended a finger and pressed downward. An immense pressure instantly crushed Unit 01 into the ground. His freshly recharged energy dropped by more than half in a heartbeat. Meanwhile, on the other side, just as In was about to have a heart-to-heart with the immortal king, a pillar of light soared into the sky. Looking closely, it was Photon Man making his grand entrance. The legendary Photon Man, the savior of Earth. Possessing unparalleled popularity and fame, people cheered as if they had finally seen their true messiah. He immediately used his skills to summon holy light, repairing and healing Unit 01 and the others like a buff station. This was the first time the immortal king had been healed by energy other than spiritual chi. Even he could not help but be astonished. Then, Photon Man looked at the great demon before him, feeling like he was being underestimated. The next moment, he pointed his hand at the woman and fired a sensing light wave. The powerful energy blast was clearly visible even from outer space. Yet, such an attack hitting indirectly in the face only caused a minor scratch. An injury like that recovered for her in a mere split second. However, this piqued the woman's intense interest in Photon Man. She quickly told Ning to stay back for a moment. She wanted to take him on in a 1v1 duel. Photon Man knew his opponent was incredibly strong. He figured the king of monsters must have been deleted by her long ago. Without hesitation, he unleashed his ultimate move. Unexpectedly, the woman just took a deep breath and kicked the entire ultimate move away. And yet, she was immediately struck by Photon Man's follow-up punch. The two of them began a brutal hand-to-hand brawl in the sky. The two, watching from a distance, only felt like they had become total deadweight. The immortal king never expected that Earth would possess a powerhouse at the peak of the Tao integration stage. To reach such a level using only a mortal body. Truly impressive, but regardless of who you are, please, you must hold the line. Cut to the next scene. The two had already fought their way into outer space. On the surface, it looked like Photon Man was chasing and hammering the woman. But Photon Man himself felt something was horribly off. Right when his punch landed on the woman's face, he heard her say, "Why do not you try using a bit more strength? I can still take it. Do you even know how terrifying an immortal is?" A casual flick from her could easily wipe a whole city off the map. Yet this superhero, a pinnacle of superpowers and high-tech, couldn't even break through her basic defense. Only then did Photon Man realize the strength of the woman before him had long since transcended the boundaries of this world. To defeat her, he could no longer hold anything back. Thus, he issued a command to the League headquarters. Activate the backup, hidden energy reserves. In the next moment, his radiance surged violently. It was as if a newborn sun was being formed right there. Watching the spreading light approach, the woman simply raised her hand and pressed down. Invisible spiritual power disintegrated everything in its path, and Photon Man, caught in the middle, was instantly critically wounded. By the time everyone could see clearly again, Photon Man's body was already shattered. Alarms blared throughout the command center. With his heartbeat coming to a flatline, the rank 1 god-tier hero, Photon Man, was officially declared dead. For a moment, the whole world fell into a dead silence. No one was willing to believe this reality. Just as In thought she had secured the victory, an image flashed through Photon Man's mind. It was a man with a towering and magnificent figure. He had once made a promise to that man to properly inherit the will of the superhuman. At that thought, Photon Man's eyes snapped open. Oh, a powerful aura erupts once again. He literally resurrected on the spot. Seeing this, the boss started roasting him like crazy. This flashback power-up is honestly complete nonsense. These damn heroes are all wearing guardian angels or something. No wonder the monster army got wrecked so hard back then. Our hope. No wonder the monster army got wrecked so hard back then. Our hope. And that is not all. Our hope. The spectators' bodies began to glow one after another. The spectators' bodies began to glow one after another. That is right, this is vital chi. Strands of energy gathered toward Photon Man. At this moment, he felt himself becoming incredibly powerful. Concentrating all the energy into his hand, he blasted it straight at In. The intense light instantly engulfed In. This single strike even caused the sky to lose its color, as the light faded away, and stood there, gasping for breath. Everyone was instantly shocked. Photon Man's full power strike actually only managed to wound her. Ha ha ha, impressive. That was at least a full power strike at the immortal level. If I did not have such thick skin, I would probably be critically injured by now. No wonder those low-level monsters were beaten so miserably before. But back in my hometown, we have a saying, it is rude not to return a favor in kind. Immortal art, Phoenix governance of the 9 heavens. Suddenly, a firebird appeared in the sky above the city. Its elegant form danced gracefully in the air. However, it was accompanied by terrifying heat and apocalyptic killing intent. Such a lifelike phoenix is actually a manifestation of that woman's spell. Watching the incoming attack, Photon Man knew that both he and the city behind him would be turned to ash in the next second. Meanwhile, Unit 01, which wanted to go and rescue them, was also pinned down by Ning's attacks. At this critical juncture, a giant sword descended from the heavens. The broad blade blocked all incoming attacks. Just as Photon Man was about to be swallowed by the firebird, a man appeared and stood before him. With a single massive slap, he sent the firebird flying. Seeing her firebird get taken out so easily, both sisters were instantly shocked and paled with fear. When the people below saw clearly who had arrived, cheers erupted everywhere instantly. It was the world's number 2, the black-robed Superman. Senior brother Yan Sen has finally made his entrance after so many episodes. As for why he only arrived just now, it was because he was previously trapped elsewhere by a monster's space lock. While trapped, he encountered the spirit of a demon king's artifact. To interrogate it for clues about the heaven realm, Yan Sen directly reversed the space lock. After a round of enhanced interrogation, he learned that this artifact spirit knew nothing about the heaven realm. But the moment he emerged, this scene was unfolding before his eyes. Since he can't fly, Xiaolan has been clinging to Yan Sen like an accessory the whole time. The two sisters noticed the man's overwhelming power. His cultivation aura was actually at the peak of the heaven immortal realm. The two of them, currently only at the early heaven immortal stage, saw they were outmatched and tried to flee in opposite directions. At the same time, the people on the ground, seeing the world's number 2 coming to the rescue, offered up their vital chi one after another. What on earth is this vital chi junk? After swatting away the vital chi, Yan Sen got down to business. After swatting away that vital chi, Yan Sen began the interrogation. I have just arrived here, and I am going to strip you both. Unless you talk, I will strip you bare. Now, Yan Sen asked the real question. Out with it, where is the heaven realm? Speak, where is the heaven realm? You dare throw me here, speak, where is the heaven realm? Stand up and fight. Just wait until I get back, I will hang you up and beat you. I am in a hurry to settle scores with those old fogies. I am in a hurry to settle scores with those old fogies. Ning wanted to answer, but was interrupted by An. She suggested that as long as the man let them leave, they would later use a demon messenger to tell him the news of the heaven realm. Seeing the man remain completely unmoved, and secretly threatened that as 2 early-stage heaven immortals, they could still fight the man to a bitter end, a life-for-life gamble. Tell me now, we are ready to go down swinging if we have to. Tell me now, however. Tell me now. The man still looked as unbothered as a dead pig in boiling water, and was so furious, she started stomping her feet. Immediately, the two followed their plan and fled in different directions. However, the man simply pressed one hand against the ground. Immortal art, golden character cage. In an instant, layers of formation arrays appeared in the sky. The two were instantly suppressed in mid-air, watching their retreat being sealed off. The hot-tempered In immediately wanted to fight for her life, but the man stated he just wanted to ask for directions. Seeing they would not talk until they saw the coffin, Yan Sen raised a single hand. Eerie laws swirled around his fingertips. Soul-searching art. Soul-searching art. What kind of head rub could make a girl scream in terror? She even shouted that the man was black-hearted and evil. It turns out this is the forbidden technique of the cultivation world, soul-searching art. In the sisters' understanding, this is an extremely sinister and vicious trick. The short fused In was the first to strike. With a wave of her hand, the fire of the earth veins soared into the sky. Then, 9 suns suddenly appeared in the sky. The crowd on the ground scattered in a panic from the scorching heat. Even Photon Man in mid-air could barely stand it. What kind of monster had he just been fighting? Seeing the tragic state of the ground, the man first blocked Ning's normal attack. Then, with a few maneuvers, he stripped him of his fighting spirit. The man simply raised one hand. A massive tsunami rose 10,000 feet from the ground. All the seawater converged into several sea dragons. The next moment, they collided with the firebirds. Steam filled the sky before dissipating, leaving Yan Sen and in a deadlock. But in the next second, Ning launched a sneak attack from behind. A sharp blade slashed across Yan Sen's neck. The expected scene did not happen. What? His soul-bound demon blade shattered into pieces at that very moment. His soul-bound demon blade shattered into pieces at that very moment. Looking closely, such an attack did not leave a single scratch on the man. This person is not a heaven immortal at all. Realizing this, Ning hurriedly retreated. But before him, the voice of the great Tao resonated from the man, as the immortal locking tower within his body cracked. Ah! The aura of a golden immortal gradually emanated outward. A powerful pressure instantly pinned the two to the ground. Lan, who remembered this feeling, had already obediently prostrated herself. She did not forget to enthusiastically tell the citizens not to look up. After all, this pressure was still intense, even on the other side of the earth. But the defiant In forced herself to stand up. In her heart, her hatred for cultivators drove her to stay upright. However, the next moment, Ning let out a terrified scream. What? An invisible impact caused In to bleed from her 7 orifices. Yet the impact of Yansen's power went far beyond this. From space, one could even see that the Earth had actually been knocked out of its original orbit. Everyone witnessing this with their own eyes was petrified with fear. The students finally realized that an immortal can destroy the world was not just a metaphor. As the dust settled, and with only a breath of life left, stood dazed on the spot. She was still muttering about never surrendering to a cultivator. Legend says that although great demons are powerful, they are also incredibly stubborn. To the side, Ning was screaming heart-wrenchingly, but Anne's eyes were already filled with absolute determination. Don't you just want to know where the heaven realm is? I won't tell you even in my next life. As she spoke, she slammed her palm onto her own forehead. This scene moved everyone deeply. Just as Ning also intended to follow her into death, he suddenly felt a terrifying presence. Mysterious energy began to ripple across Yan Sen's body. He slowly raised his hand and stood there, trembling in place. She remembered clearly that her breath had already faded. How could this be happening? Ning finally realized what was going on. This was the power of the laws, coming from a true immortal. It turns out that before a true powerhouse, even death is a luxury you can't afford. Yan Sen slowly floated down in front of him. You really are a stubborn one. Until I uncover the truth, I won't let you die. Suicide will only result in more pointless suffering. The man gently placed his palm on the woman's head. At this moment, she no longer had the will to resist. Before a true master of cultivation, those with meager strength cannot even choose their own end, because such masters can easily manipulate and rewrite the very river of time. Realizing the man's overwhelming power, and gave up all resistance. In the next instant, Yan Sen learned everything about the sisters' past and present lives. They originally came from a happy family. Their innate talent to take human form at birth was something others envied deeply, but it was also this very gift that brought a cataclysmic disaster upon their household. Human cultivators, fearing the sisters would grow too powerful too quickly, and coveting the demon cores within them, united the great sects against the Northern Desert Demon Clan. They launched a massacre against the girl's family. They even activated the immortal summoning array to strike down the sisters' parents. At the critical moment, the butler and the head guard fought to the death to break the siege. However, to ensure the sisters' safety, the butler and the guard both fell in battle. Fortunately, they used a final teleportation talisman, sending the two away from the cultivation world. Thus, the two young girls began their wandering in a different world. They relied on each other, exploring different planets. For over 1,000 years, guided by the techniques etched in their minds, relying on those deep-seated cultivation memories, they eventually became great immortals, reigning supreme over all living beings. Driven by revenge, they traveled across the universe, embarking on a journey to hunt down all cultivators. The scene shifts. Yan Sen looked at his palm and remained silent. The people around had no idea what was happening, and realized that this was a harmless soul search. She was shocked that such a painless soul search technique existed, and could not believe he had searched her soul without causing a single scratch. The next moment, Yan Sen's grumbling voice broke the silence. Damn it, why did not you just say so earlier? Why make me go through all this trouble? While I am still feeling patient, get lost. Both of them were stunned by his words. They could not believe Yan Sen was just letting them walk away. Seeing this, Photon Man did not have time to stop them. Ning immediately grabbed the dazed In and bolted. In a flash, they were kilometers away. Photon Man was incredibly frustrated. He warned Yan Sen that the consequences of this would be dire. Those two have the power to destroy entire planets. If left unchecked, the results will be catastrophic. But Yan Sen simply replied, destroying a planet. I am pretty sure I can do that too. If they cause trouble, I will just deal with them then. Simple as that. Listen, Yan Sen, I know you are strong, but those two are even younger than our students. In the future, when our era has passed, the students will definitely be no match for them. Unexpectedly, Yan Sen calmly replied, I have faith in my students. Besides, I will definitely outlive all of them anyway. Because I am the emperor, immortal. The two girls who had not run far heard this, and their legs instantly turned to jelly, and tried to call out to Ning, only to find that she had already fainted with foam at the mouth from sheer terror. Only to find he had already fainted with foam at his mouth from sheer terror. Finding him long since passed out, foaming at the mouth from the fright. The horror was real. They turned out to be incredibly powerful greater demons, and the target they were tracking was this very man inside the room. After witnessing the man's overwhelming power, both of them became desperate to become his disciples. After several days of careful observation, they felt that the man was not actually a short-tempered person. So, they decided to charge right in and force him to accept them as students. However, the moment they flickered into existence before Yan Sen, before they could even utter a word, they were ruthlessly tossed out the window. It happened so fast that neither of them could even react. Yet, this failure did not extinguish their desire to take him as their master. From then on, wherever the man went, the two followed like shadows. After the previous great battle, the world had undergone a massive transformation. Yan Sen had successfully become the rank 1 superhero. Sales of all kinds of dolls and figurines skyrocketed. Merchandise sales were through the roof. Every type of action figure was flying off the shelves. The market for collectibles was booming like never before. Thanks to this, the Azure Sky sect finally climbed out of poverty. However, the monsters had lost all their territory and resources due to the previous war. Even the little monsters were reduced to eating wild grass to survive. At the same time, Yan Sen's cultivation class was moving into its next phase. The curriculum was actually quite simple. They just needed to memorize 400 billion types of medicinal herbs, reciting them all backward as fluently as water. According to him, the art of alchemy is a profession that does not require constant fighting and killing, yet can still command respect from all four corners of the world. One could rule the world's heroes without even shedding a drop of blood. The grand vision he painted immediately made the students' eyes sparkle with greed and wonder. It is basically like being a coder who creates cheats for others. Right. Yan Sen also stated that to speed up everyone's cultivation, he would even provide one-on-one personal guidance. But outside this energetic classroom, the two greater demons who were dead set on becoming his disciples were still silently squatting nearby, waiting for their chance. And so, as the world felt the impact of Yan Sen's thunderous strike, things slowly began to quiet down. But, on a planet where superpowers and magic coexist, it obviously would not stay peaceful for long. Some strange things began to slowly spread in the shadows where light could not reach. Deep within a dark land of spiritual energy, a group of cultists were chanting in low murmurs toward a coffin. Then a strange-looking man sat bolt upright from within the coffin. A bizarre figure rose straight up from the depths of the casket. The atmosphere grew cold. A man with a peculiar appearance stood up from the grave. This man was a vampire who had vanished from this world for 300 years. He looked at the devout believers before him, with just a simple touch of his finger to one's forehead. The believer was instantly consumed by a bloody light. Vast power and eternal life made the man scream with insane delight. However, this was merely the tip of the iceberg of the surging undercurrents. This magical girl here has not just ditched her wand. She has even learned how to fire energy blasts. Today was the graduation exam for the new batch of superpowers, and the cultivation class, known as the strongest fighters, naturally became the focus of the entire arena. Unfortunately for them, their examiner this time was the Blue Mage, one of the top 10 rankers. As a top 10 superhero, Xiaolan would not normally be too strict. She promised that if anyone from the cultivation class could just touch her face, they would pass the exam. In the very first instant, Xiaolu took the lead and lunged forward with a sword strike. But to everyone's surprise, Xiaolan caught it with her bare hands. This level of power gave everyone a brand new understanding of what it means to be in the top 10. After brushing Xiaolu aside, Xiaolan followed up with a blue wave blast. With a single casual strike, she sent the group scattering. Left with no choice, the students had to resort to a tactical formation. They forcibly boosted Xiaolu's power to the deity transformation stage. Only then can she stand a chance against Xiaolan. Seeing Xiaolu struggling to land a hit, the two demon kings in the stands were itching to jump in themselves. Damn, what a noob. Just as the two were about to start trash talking, they noticed Yan Sen was also present. Instantly, they clammed up, but after some analysis, the two still believed that Yan Sen's prized disciple was probably going to lose. Xiao Lan's power was terrifyingly close to the Dao integration stage. The power gap between them was immense. Clearly, Xiao Lu herself realized this. It seemed she would have to get creative to win. The next moment, Xiao Lu turned and bolted. In a flash, she conjured a handmade nuclear blast. However, Xiao Lan instantly teleported behind her and dispelled it. But the unsportsmanlike part of this move is that she is gone, but the nuke is still there, facing the out-of-control Qi Sea Dragon transformation. Xiao Lan had no choice but to get serious. His aura suddenly surged. He launched a frontal assault on the Qi Sea Dragon transformation from below. The immense energy even blasted away Xiao Lu, who who was preparing a sneak attack. As the dust settled, Xiao Lan looked at Xiao Lu calmly. Although you still could not touch me, you managed to make me use my full power. Congratulations, you have graduated. The combined strength of you four is enough to crush most professional heroes below the top 10. I know that in the cultivation class, the deity transformation stage is just the beginning. So I believe the top 10 is definitely not your limit. And just like that, they successfully graduated. They could not even believe it. The always strict teacher Xiao Lan had actually gone easy on them. When they presented their diplomas to Yan Sen to show off, he immediately confiscated them. You have graduated in this world, but in my eyes, you are still in kindergarten. When you finally become immortals, then you can graduate for real. Hearing this, Zihao's hopes were instantly crushed. Won't that take hundreds or even thousands of years? At this moment, an enlightened Xiao Lu's words awakened everyone. Ever since I first guided Qi into my body, I stopped caring much about being a hero. Now my goal is eternal life. And so, the cultivation class began their long journey of cultivation. To teach the students alchemy, Yan Sen created a separate pocket dimension. He had the students start from the very basics, planting spiritual herbs. Here, Yan Sen caught two unfamiliar students. After tossing them into the air, he realized it was an An Ning. He could not understand why strange things kept sneaking into his school. A man stood on the moon. With a single sword strike, he killed a mosquito on Earth. But the limits of the sword Dao are far beyond this. All of this was merely a birthday gift from the man to his student. Ever since I started cultivating, these girls who grew up on Earth suddenly have a strange aversion to birthdays. Watching students from other schools come over to party, she could not bring herself to be happy. The class president, who had sworn never to celebrate her birthday again, was now carrying a cake down the hallway. Unexpectedly, she ran into the ever-elusive Yan Sen. Without a word, the man tossed his personal sword to the class president. Then, he led her away. Cultivation is a path that heavily relies on innate talent. Everyone has their own area of expertise. As the class president, you should understand this better than anyone. Are you ready? Before Chuji could answer, the next moment Yan Sen had brought her to a new place. Before Chuji could even complain, the man's solemn voice echoed. Today, I shall impart to you a unique sword art of the Azure Sky sect. Watch closely. This master will only demonstrate it once. Sword cultivation is a different kind of cultivation system. One can neglect cultivation techniques and alchemy. As long as you comprehend the way of the sword, it is enough to kill from 10,000 miles away with one's eyes closed. A cultivator's spiritual sense can clearly perceive another's actions, but a sword cultivator's mind's eye can predict another's actions. With that said, the man swung his sword towards Earth. An invisible wave of sword energy cut through space. Then, a mosquito suddenly died a violent death, and it did not stop there. The sword energy sliced through the mosquito's cells. Its DNA strands, and all sorts of microscopic particles within, all were pulverized. In just an instant, every mosquito in the world died simultaneously. This inconspicuous species extinction startled the two sisters, who were secretly observing nearby. The scene changes. We are now on the moon. Chuji stared at Yan Sen in disbelief. All he knew was that his master had just done something truly terrifying. Yan Sen sheathed his sword at this moment. He calmly stated that sword cultivation has different realms. From sword chi to the Tao of the sword, you must comprehend it slowly. When you reach a certain realm, you too can annihilate an entire race with a single sword strike. Your comprehension of cultivation techniques is poor. This path is very suitable for you. Take this sword as a gift, and happy birthday. And just like that, the class president, Chu Qi, developed a profound interest in sword cultivation. The image of Yan Sen, from over 300,000 kilometers away, eradicating an entire species with a single sword strike, was seared into his mind, impossible to forget. Even the two Demon King sisters were utterly baffled when they recalled the event. One day, the two of them were walking down a deserted street. Suddenly, a strange figure appeared ahead. This little dinosaur looked at the panel in front of it, clicked its tongue, and said, "An Ning. Triple S class fugitives from the cultivation world. This is a bit tricky. It is actually the legendary ancient mech, Unit 03. Looking at this cool toy-like dinosaur before them, which accurately called out their names, the two sisters were quite surprised. But who would have known? The next moment, the little dinosaur declared them under arrest. Without waiting for a reply, it began to transform on the spot. After a series of clanking sounds, a towering humanoid mech suddenly appeared before them. This person was none other than the long-lost ancient mech, Unit 03. At the same time, Unit 01, who was sleeping in at home, was suddenly jolted awake. He could feel that his brothers had returned, but the mention of those people made him start to grind his teeth. Apparently, his relationship with his brothers was not good. Meanwhile, the energy fluctuations from that area were also transmitted back to the Alliance headquarters. After comparing it with Unit 01's data, they discovered. It was the second ancient mech. Just as they were speaking, a loud bang echoed through the sky. The third ancient mech appeared atop the building. He looked down at Unit 03 below and asked if it needed help. After all, these were triple S-class criminals. However, Unit 03 disdainfully replied that it could handle it alone. With that, it raised its hand towards an Ning and began to charge up. The next moment, an invisible shockwave burst forth. Before the two could even react, a powerful curtain of light shot up into the sky, eventually forming a massive energy dome, enveloping the city within. When the two came to their senses, they found that the surrounding space seemed to have lost all its color. After an explanation from Unit 01, everyone learned that this was a high-level spatial lock. It is a technique that uses ultra-high-density nuclear fusion to compress space. To put it simply, Unit 03's ability is a controllable dimensional folding strike. However, just as Unit 03 thought it was an easy win, and was about to call it a day, and was the first to break out of the spatial lock, in an instant, she appeared in front of Unit 03. She lifted her leg and delivered a kick. Even someone as strong as Unit 03 was sent flying by Anne's kick, then and slowly drew her sword. "I am angry now." Just then, the little dragon above spoke with a hint of mockery. "I told you to be more careful, but you would not listen. So, are you still alive?" From the ruins, Unit 03 rose out of the thick smoke. It had indeed underestimated the two of them before. It seems these SSS rank fugitives are no joke. Watching the two of them continue their charge, Unit 03 let out a great roar. The next second, the space before it began to fracture and reassemble, and Ning were instantly trapped, unable to move. "How do you like this move, the fourth-dimensional space lock? To our two new demon kings, I admit, you are very strong. In a two-dimensional space, where your brains and internal organs are compressed into a single sheet of paper, you still manage to escape. You are indeed different from the other trans-dimensional criminals." Suddenly, Unit 03's speech was cut short by a flying rock. Looking up, it saw the little blue dragon yelling at it. "You moron, how long are you going to keep posturing? You use your ultimate move without even checking if anyone's in front of you. Are your damn parts made of paper or something?" Hearing this, Unit 03 immediately turned around. It found only two dolls left in the original spot. "You cultivators, just you wait for your grandpa." Meanwhile, 1,000 miles away, the two great demons were speeding through the air. "Idiot. Idiot. I thought I was reckless enough. Idiot. I did not expect that tin can to be even more reckless than me. Right now, we are no match for it. Once we successfully become his disciples, we will get our revenge sooner or later." The cultivator up ahead was utterly astonished, because the two of them were powerful shape-shifting great demons. The next moment, they were seen reaching into their pockets. Then they pulled out a bundle labeled weapons. When they had taken everything out, everyone was stunned. It turned out that after the two sisters returned home, they felt that becoming disciples was an urgent matter. Unexpectedly, the old shopkeeper suggested a solution, based on their years of experience working under superheroes. The best method was, of course, to give gifts. As long as you get someone close to him to put in a good word, pulling some strings would be a piece of cake. And so, the scene before them unfolded. For a cultivator, this kind of tactic should definitely not have swayed them, but there was no helping it. They were offering way too much. In order to find Yan Sen and put in a good word for the two, they suddenly found a few junior students eavesdropping. Rumor has it that Yan Sen and the little blue one are doing some shady experiments in there. As a man of justice, Zi Hao immediately declared, "Count me in." Listening to the strange sounds coming from inside, the group was instantly shocked. However, the next moment they made too much noise. The door suddenly burst open. Everyone stared at each other, speechless. Well. Everyone stared at each other, speechless. Everyone stared at each other, speechless. Well. Everyone stared at each other, speechless. Well. After some explanation, everyone learned that Yan Sen was indeed conducting an experiment. Through his experiment, he discovered the origin of superpowers in this world. It was because of a magnetic field in the universe, and people could gain energy by connecting to this magnetic field. As he spoke, a small flame appeared in Yan Sen's hand. The group was astonished at the sight. Isn't this just awakening a superpower? However, the next instant, Yan Sen condensed the water element. Everyone exclaimed, "But those elements are supposed to be opposing, right?" "Oh. So there is such a thing as elemental attributes." After messing around for a bit, Yan Sen even commented that this stuff was really weak, not as useful as spiritual power. Afterward, Yan Sen looked at the group and asked why they had come. Hearing this, the class president and the others stammered out the story about the great demons. Hearing them say so many good things, Yan Sen knew they must have accepted gifts from someone. The class president claimed it was just a little something. However, their homes were almost overflowing. Seeing that his own students did not mind, Yan Sen did not care either. That afternoon, he summoned the two great demon sisters for a meeting. Seeing the two of them immediately perform the formal master-disciple prostration upon arrival, Yan Sen said indifferently, I will give it to you. That gift-giving trick was a clever move. But the guardian divine beasts of my sect must at least possess the strength of the demon venerable realm. Since my eldest disciple pleaded on your behalf, go and guard the gates. Hearing this, the two shouted in unison, as you command. Then they excitedly rushed out of the office. Meanwhile, in a distant spacecraft, several ancient mechs were gathered together. They were all surrounding a supercomputer known as the Core. Unit 03 reported that the 3S-class fugitives have been located. They are right inside the Immortal Academy, requesting orders on whether to initiate the capture. However, the Core indicated there was no need to rush. In 2 more weeks, it will be the day of the solar nuclear fusion outburst. By then, even without your big brother, we can pack up all these fugitives and send them back to where they came from. Because in the world left behind by Mother, these fellows are not welcome. If they are exposed to the sun, they will perish. It turns out these individuals are the only 4 surviving vampires in the world today, and the reason they risked their lives to come to the desert was only to fulfill the final wishes of their late parents. Legend has it that the ancient vampire tribe buried a world teleportation portal on Earth in the most scorching place imaginable. After various attempts by the group, they actually managed to open a passage. Upon entering the passage, they found a startling new world. Through their bloodline resonance, they realized that the people playing in front of them were actually all vampires. Seeing several of them about to be hit by sunlight, they rushed forward to stop them. To their surprise, the girl was not only unharmed, but she also mistook Al-Rashid for a peeping Tom. In an instant, she released a fraction of her pressure, rendering this so-called vampire king completely unable to move. After an explanation from her companions, the girl finally realized these mortals were kin from the outside world. After learning more about their situation, the group finally understood. This was a complete world with a population of 6 billion. Everyone here is called a Hobor. As ancient vampires, they do not fear the sun at all, and after countless years of development, their technological civilization is on par with the outside world. Furthermore, according to them, vampires do not drink human blood. Doing that would only lower one's abilities. Only a fool would drink that stuff. Although the outsiders were reluctant to admit it, they truly felt they could not even win a fight against a dog in this place. Seeing the situation, they told the locals their purpose for coming here. It turns out the recently resurrected Al-Rashid found the world had changed drastically. He had planned to lay low and farm for a while, but ended up being caught by a stray little dinosaur. They were ready to drag him back for lab research. If his good brother had not rescued him, he would be history by now. Hearing about his ordeal, the Hobors expressed great sympathy. And those colorful robotic little dinosaurs, they knew them very well. To be precise, they were their sworn enemies, especially Unit 01, whose strength is formidable. One unit alone could take on 4 or 5 Hobor elders. The two groups had reached an agreement many years ago to stay far away from Earth, since the ancient mechs violated the agreement first. Then they can't blame us for what is coming. With that said, the group decided to first find the 3rd elder of the tribe, because this person possesses the ability to predict the future. He can help them divine the fortune of the path ahead. By the time they reached the manor, it was already late. Upon learning their purpose, the 3rd elder did not waste a second. He immediately began the ritual. Not long after, the 3rd elder burst into loud laughter. Their greatest enemy, Unit 01, had already fallen out with his brothers. Having left the core, Unit 01 is now incredibly weak. Not only that, they have now provoked a powerful opponent. I am afraid it won't be long now. There won't even be a single screw left of them. However, speaking of this, the 3rd elder suddenly paused. In his eyes, the future had reached a dead end. He could no longer see a way forward, and in his vision, a mysterious silhouette suddenly appeared. Just who exactly is he? Thirdly, her passing was very peaceful, without a single trace of pain. Yet the audience below was weeping a river of tears. The atmosphere was so incredibly moving that even the 3 foreign vampires managed to squeeze out a few tears. The deceased was none other than the high and mighty 3rd elder of this world. A grand funeral was held in his honor by everyone. Meanwhile, 10,000 meters up in the sky, a white-haired man descended from the heavens. His name is Hobor, the fabled creator of this world. After questioning the crowd, the man slowly reached his hand into the coffin. A moment later, he dropped a bombshell. The man was literally scared to death. The crowd was instantly struck with shock and awe. Then, someone brought forth the final message, carved by the 3rd elder with his very last breath. It read clearly, Cultivation Academy. Once the culprit was identified, everyone was absolutely fuming with rage. They swore an oath to avenge the 3rd elder and settle the score. Meanwhile, in another world, Yan Sen had no idea that while he was chilling at home, major trouble was about to drop from the sky. Once the crowd had dispersed, Hobor, the creator, looked at the 1st elder and said calmly, in that world dwells a true god. The scene shifts back to Earth, with the emergence of ancient mechs and vampires. This world began to spiral into chaos, but with the sisters An and Ning joining the fray, the relationship between monsters and humans started to mellow out. With the guidance of more teachers, the students began breaking through their cultivation realms one by one. However, after the sisters joined the Azure Sky sect, the sect's front gate became as deserted as a ghost town. But little did they know, a conspiracy targeting them was already in motion. Following a thunderous boom in the sky, a teleportation portal slowly creaked open. After countless years, the Hobor clan set foot on Earth once again. After some deliberation, they decided to strike the Cultivation Academy first, then shift the blame onto the ancient mechs. That day, a shopkeeper rushed in, panicking to report that the monster king Guganaka, who was out buying groceries for the sect, had been kidnapped. This sent the two hot-headed sisters straight into a rage, ready to demand an explanation. When they arrived at the outskirts, sure enough, they saw the kidnapped monster king. Seeing the time was ripe, the vampire king lurking in the distance chugged the enhancement potion from Hobor without a second thought, and charged in with his squad. However, in the blink of an eye, and sent them flying with a single kick. Once it was over, and could not even tell what that pathetic thing was supposed to be. Then an angry voice echoed from the cliffside. "You absolute noobs. At least wait for the potion to kick in, before you rush. Screw it, everyone, get her at once." In the next instant, a massive dark army swarmed toward them. Seeing this, and unsheathed the sword at her waist. "I do not care what you things are. I will slice you all up first and ask questions later." Facing the heavily equipped army of men in black, the girl calmly drew her blade. Then, with incredibly agile movement, she wove through the crowd like a phantom, slicing them down. No matter what techniques the enemies threw at her, she neutralized them with ease. Watching this from the sidelines made the onlookers' scalps tingle with fear. The Hobor clan members immediately decided to jump in together, yet in just one exchange, and kicked them all flying. HMPH, little brats who have not even grown up yet, should not try to play at fighting. Just then, even more men in black came rushing to the scene, trying to win with a human wave tactic. In a split second, they surrounded An like a solid ball. However, in the next instant, Anne's expression turned ice cold. With just her sheer aura, she sent hundreds of men flying. Immediately after, she followed up with a single sword swing. The sky full of figures was instantly filled with relentless screams of agony. Watching the men in black drop like dumplings into a pot, several of them realized they had truly bitten off more than they could chew. Just as Anne sheathed her sword, a powerful surge of energy erupted in the distance. At this moment, Rashid and the others felt themselves becoming more powerful than ever before. Once the medicinal effects were activated, they obtained strength hundreds of times greater than their former selves. Even sunlight could no longer pose a threat to them. Seeing a glimmer of hope, young Hobor immediately began a verbal assault. This was too much for even the usually quiet Ning to watch. He stepped in front of An to shield her. Facing the four great vampire demons and their arrogant magic, Ning simply unleashed a single horizontal sword slash. The sword light instantly submerged the group. The powerful strike was enough to tear the very sky apart. Only then did those several people realize exactly what kind of existence they had provoked. Yet at this moment, Ning fell into a state of self-reproach. He could not believe he had actually gotten serious against such weaklings. Just as the two were about to finish these guys off for good, Hobor inside the main hall suddenly opened his eyes. The two instantly sensed an indescribable crisis, but Hobor gave them no chance to react. He simply reached out and pressed down. A powerful aura immediately enveloped the two of them. Furthermore, the pressure continued to climb. As Hobor clenched his massive hand, a teleportation portal to another world instantly swallowed them both. By the time they were delivered to the main hall, they were already unconscious. Looking at the two lying on the ground, even the great elder could not believe it, that such young children could possess such terrifying strength. And word has it, they were merely security guards at the gate of the Immortal Academy. Clearly, Hobor had an ulterior motive for bringing them here. The scene shifts to the outskirts. The group, who had been beaten to a pulp, prepared for a triumphant return. To make the act convincing, the mortals needed to leave behind some evidence. After saying that, he dug a part out from his teeth from an old fight with an ancient mech, a small component he had bitten off years ago. Yet it was this tiny little part that became the evidence placed right before Yansen, an ancient mech. This world does not just have superpowers and mechs. It also has a group of people practicing cultivation, ever since a certain man suddenly appeared on Earth a few years ago. His overwhelming power has commanded the respect and awe of all living beings. Later, he used his own power to establish the Azure Sky Academy. However, news had just arrived claiming that the Divine Beast security guards at the school gate had been kidnapped. Based on the evidence left at the scene, it was clearly the work of the ancient mechs. Just as the man was about to strike out, he was stopped. They advised him that as the Superman in black, it would be best not to clash with the ancient mechs. Thinking of the Academy's reputation. At the very least, he could not act on behalf of the Azure Sky Academy. For this reason, the man specifically went to the Ninja Academy, because Unit 01 of the same ancient mech series was located there. Meanwhile, in outer space, several ancient mechs were greedily absorbing the sun's energy, releasing a super-powered nuclear fusion. The group had been waiting silently for decades for this very day. First, they would deal with the Hobor family, and then send those transmigrators back to where they came from. Not long after, several red streaks instantly pierced the horizon above the quiet earth. The young Hobors, who had not even had time to return home, suddenly felt a threat from their natural enemies. However, while advancing through the air, the group was suddenly blocked by a lone figure. Seeing who it was, Xiaozi could not help but blurt out, "Big brother," but Unit 03 did not give him any respect at all. Calling you big brother was doing you a favor. You who have broken the rules and detached from the core. Before us, you are nothing but a weakling. Did you come here today specifically to get wrecked by us? Exactly right. Upon hearing Unit 01's response, Unit 03 burst into uncontrollable laughter. Then he called out to his brothers to initiate their transformation. The next moment, a giant foot crushed the earth. All ancient mechs have completed their transformation. Standing 20,000 meters tall, the sense of pressure was overwhelming. Facing Unit 03's mockery, Unit 01 did not panic in the slightest. I will ask one last time. The two sect pets from the Immortal Academy, were they kidnapped by you lot? And what if they were not? Real men never explain themselves. Hearing this, based on Unit 01's knowledge of them, he already knew they definitely did not do it. But in the next instant, the devious Unit 01 shouted toward Yan Sen. The culprits are this gang right here. The scene shifts over to Yan Sen. At this moment, he is holding the transformation device, trembling uncontrollably. As the dignified Emperor Immortal, a supreme Emperor Immortal, a majestic Emperor Immortal, he cannot allow himself to perform such a cringe-worthy move. Meanwhile, the Rainbow Squad watched with stars in their eyes. In the end, Yan Sen still could not make up his mind. He immediately transformed into a golden light and charged toward Unit 01. Aiming straight for the exhaust port, he dived right in. Following a flash of white light, a strange, never-before-seen mech appeared before everyone's eyes. Ha ha ha, brothers. Your big bro is back. What kind of power will he unleash? Just a moment ago, a 20,000-meter giant descended from the heavens, and his opponents are the ancient mechs native to Earth. Because of the change in pilot, Unit 01's appearance has undergone a massive transformation. Despite this, the aura it radiated still struck terror into the Hobor clan. Seeing his big bro like this, Unit 03 did not realize the gravity of the situation. He immediately rallied his brothers to attack together. After all, they were just in space, absorbing so much solar radiation. They did not think they would be weaker than Unit 01. However, in the next moment, Unit 01 landed a direct punch into Unit 03's gut. The immense force instantly sent him flying across the horizon. He even punched a hole through the moon, which was blocking the way. The residual power did not fade, only stopping when he crashed into Mars. While the audience stood there dumbfounded, Unit 01 casually manifested a small sword by hand and tossed it into the sky. The sword expanded against the wind, instantly becoming incomparably massive. Then it skewered Unit 03 and the planet together like a lollipop. The dazed blue dragon was left completely speechless. Yet in the next heartbeat, Unit 01 appeared right in front of him. He could not believe it when Unit 01 showed up right in his face. There was not even a single ripple in the air. Down below, Xiao Ning just sneered. I know this move all too well. In a panic, the blue dragon threw a punch at Unit 01's face. But in the next instant, he realized just how terrifying the current Unit 01 truly is. Seeing the situation turn south, his reliable teammates rushed over, pulling the blue dragon to safety. But by then, the blue dragon was already scared witless by what just happened. Suddenly, they all remembered something terrifying. Based on their understanding of Unit 01, he should be unleashing his ultimate move right about now. Sure enough, as they looked up, they saw Unit 01 had already condensed a sky-piercing halberd. Seeing this, the mortals were forced to activate their own ultimate. By merging the power of laws, they successfully unleashed the soul fusion blazing sun barrier. But in the next moment, Unit 01's roar echoed through the sky. Immortal art, heaven-splitting halberd. Then, with a single thrust, the intense energy completely drowned out their screams. Amidst the white light, the blue dragon vaguely recalled his big brother's ultimate move. Wasn't it the nuclear fusion energy cannon? What the hell is this immortal art? The power of this strike was already comparable to a small asteroid hitting Earth. When the aftershock dissipated, only Unit 01 remained where it stood. Just then, a calm voice suddenly spoke beside it. Unit 01, it seems you have found a new host. That is right, Core. From now on, I am rolling with him. Hearing this, Core simply said, my apologies. Then it shot straight up into the sky. The ancient mechs that had been scattered everywhere instantly transformed into streaks of light, flying towards Core. A brilliant light erupted in the sky. A colossal figure figure, like a sun, slowly ascended. Its massive shadow made people tremble in fear. And all of this was the creation of a supercomputer known as Core, a creation it had brought to life. Despite this, Unit 01 below was completely unfazed. It even politely informed Yan Sen that it required more spiritual power. After getting the big boss's approval, the sky was suddenly blanketed by a black mech in the next instant. High above the earth, an equally massive black dragon materialized. The two colossal figures faced each other. At this moment, Unit 01 felt incredibly exhilarated. The immense power coursing through its body made it roar with excitement. However, even so, Unit 01 still abided by the principle of less talk, more action. It immediately unleashed its ultimate move, the Chi Sea Dragon Cannon. In the distance, Core was not to be outdone. It condensed a nuclear fusion energy sphere. Right now, the people on Earth were already dumbfounded. But that did not affect the collision of the two titans' ultimate attacks in the slightest. In an instant, all light in the sky above Earth converged on a single point. Immediately after, an intense flash of light erupted, obliterating everything. The once frozen Arctic instantly became arid. As everyone knows, the melting of the Arctic glaciers will cause a significant rise in sea levels. This caused coastal cities to be instantly submerged by the surging seawater. Although evacuations were carried out beforehand, people were still in shock. However, this did not stop the two gods above from continuing their slaughter. Just by releasing a few simple energy waves, they could plunge the Earth into a sea of fire. The next moment, the two had taken their fight to the skies above Saturn. After a massive battle, the major planets of the solar system had all been visited by the two of them. On this day, two underage aliens, watching the constant explosions in the sky, were rendered speechless. They saw two unfamiliar figures, fighting and killing their way around their blue sun. Are all the bastards from Earth this ridiculously strong? I never want to have anything to do with Earth for the rest of my life. At the same time, the Hobor clan on Earth also began their secret operation. Using the Great Battle as a distraction, they broke down the doors of residents, house by house. Their target was, surprisingly, the children inside the homes. In a short period, children from over 100 families were kidnapped, and their purpose for doing this was to use these children to establish a vampire academy. After all, as the saying goes, to change the world, you must start with the younger generation. The Great War in space continued. Wherever the two passed, planets were shattered. Flames shot into the heavens. Core saw that continuing to fight like this was not a solution. After launching several missiles, it began to change its form. A giant cannon barrel extended from its chest. Cannon. Internal core Franklin mechanical cannon. Sensing the anomaly, Unit 01 let out a great roar. Then it condensed a golden arrow at its fingertip. Behold! Immortal art. Sun annihilating arrow.